Warning. The following show features reviews from wildly unprofessional critics operating without the supervision of professionals. The thoughts and opinions held by these individuals are not to be taken seriously and do not come from a place of intellectual integrity. This show doesn't reflect the opinions of Criticless or its users. Viewer discretion is advised.
What's up? What's up? What is up, everybody? Hello, and welcome to another episode of Criticless Cast Unhinged, and hopefully you can hear me, because per usual, we just have an endless plethora of misadventures before the show starts. It's a regular occurrence around here. Even though we move nothing, change nothing, it just sits, and then we come back and nothing works anymore. So who knows? So as usual, just let us know in the chat if you can't hear me, or if I'm just like have an unplugged microphone or some other level of absurdity. But so today we are going to be talking about 30 Days of Night. We're reviewing this cult classic, very much an audience-loved film that the critics did not love so much. Now, they didn't absolutely hate it, but they definitely didn't love it, and the Rotten Tomatoes crowd didn't give it the best of reception. So we're going to cover that, but per usual with the show as well, we're going to be doing our culture for boomers, our news, all that stuff before we get rolling and give people time to come in and all that. But without further ado, let me introduce my co-hosts, the usual Spud Specs, Mr. Christopher Cowles.
Hola.
And Mr. Matthew Verlaque.
Hey, everybody. How you doing?
But yeah, and if you are not a user yet on Criticless, which my guess is if you're here in the chat especially, then you are, but make sure to visit criticless.com. That is my website, my platform, my app, all of that fun stuff. And we
Your
are,
baby.
Yes, my baby, my big dumb brainchild. And it's grown into some sort of uncontrollable monstrosity at this point, I guess. But yes, so make sure to go to criticless.com, where you can do reviews for the latest in entertainment, movies, and television, and hopefully in the near future, things like video games, books, music, who knows? So all of those things are to come in the future. And of course, I did one little click and all kinds of crazy things start happening on my screen. But I guess what we're going to do first is we are going to be talking about our culture for boomers, but I've been tinkering around with a new intro. And so I'm going to play that before we start. All right, so I was tinkering around with that today, and we can add to it as the lore grows, but it's got little bits and pieces of Criticless lore that we've built up. Of course, we included the new cult representation that we have now embodied, because apparently, you know, to our haters, we're a cult, and we gladly take on that moniker.
Oh, I thought it was just everybody. I thought everybody knew.
Right, everybody should know now. I mean, where have you been? Like, obviously, we're a cult. Come on.
Yeah.
Don't they know?
So I know they don't, clearly, but what we're going to kick things off with is our culture for. Now, Culture for Boomers is a segment that we started a little ways into the show more recently, simply also me leaning into the hate of getting called a TikTok kid, because, you know, I reference TikTok and things that are happening in the internet at large, because, I mean, when you run a website / platform that's all around culture, you should probably be up to date and not seem like an out-of-touch boomer. We leave that for Chris, who is our resident out-of-touch boomer.
Yeah, buddy.
And Jake Stanley's asking who called us a cult. Well, there are certain people who are no longer on the platform who called us a cult.
I call us a cult. What do you got?
Chris probably calls us a cult. But yeah, no, we recently had some chaos on the site, and I got to have my boundaries tested as far as how we want to run this platform. But as it goes, it's one of those things you learn as you go. And, you know, I've kind of never ran a social media platform before. So it's one of those things you just kind of figure out as you go. But So for our culture for boomers, I'm going to go ahead and try and screen share this, but we want us small and them big. Is that us too small? Look at this. We could just bop us all around. We're
fancy.
Oh, God, there's no us. There we go. How about that? All right. So basically, the first thing I wanted to touch on here is what is happening in the AI space, because it is completely and totally out of control. I know Matt has seen some of this. Chris, are you up to date on VO3?
Yeah.
Are you?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I work in technology.
Right. You're in technology. So I wasn't sure with that one. So VO3 is video oriented versus a lot of the other AI, which have been like language models versus a video thing. So long story short, basically Google released this new technology. It is an AI platform where you can create kind of anything you want. Now it's fairly expensive right now. It's like $100 and something bucks, and you can create like 3 1-minute long videos a day or something weird. There's very tight parameters on it currently. But essentially it is, you can make movies. And so as we've seen with the current AI takeover, things are moving at an insane rate. So here is some AI Google VO3 videos here.
Do the first plunge into an active volcano. Let's send it. We spent $50 million to rebuild the Titanic just to sink it again. Last person to abandon ship gets a Lambo.
I covered my entire body in compost and waited to see what started growing.
Oh, that's Chris's dream girl right there.
I mean,
get you one of them crunchy compost girls.
Yeah, it's more mushy than crunchy.
That's more of a mush.
Running for my life on North Sentinel Island. Day 3. Should have picked Bali. All right. I've sealed my head in this plastic box, and I'm going to try to read the entire dictionary before I pass out. Flying into North Korea with a lawn chair and 1,000 party balloons. Don't try this at home.
I'm about to survive 100 days in the African savannah, only eating and drinking.
Now, for those watching, and since I've showed this some, this is, none of this is real. All of it is completely fake. These people aren't real. Nothing that is being said has ever happened. It's not in a real location. And some of these things have gotten wildly detailed and kind of ridiculous. The fact that it looks like real people.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like looking at it on my screen, I mean, it's a little small right now. So maybe it's easier to tell when it's on a larger screen.
No,
besides them being like ridiculous, like this looks almost real. Like they're very subtle things.
Right.
And this is early in this days of this AI. So.
Right. We're on like day 1 of this specific platform, and it's already doing stuff that looks this real. Now, the one thing that I've noticed the most, and you probably can't quite tell as far as watching the stream, is that with this AI, it is the voices don't always match the mouths, and it's not 1 for 1. There's a little bit there where you can pick up on that uncanny valley weirdness. And I think that right now is what they don't totally have figured out.
Yeah.
Well, this brings into question, Blaine, what is reality? You say this isn't real.
Right.
Are you real?
I mean, that is a great question. I mean, is this a simulation? Like, what is the questions that I wake up in the middle of the night thinking on a regular basis?
Exactly.
So, yeah, and in the chat's asking as well, like, can you pick different languages and stuff? From what I gather, you can tell it exactly what to do and say, and it can do it. There is no issue with that. Also, Quagmire13 came in here with his usual harassment. He follows me everywhere I go, and he said that he thinks that my heavy metal score is AI and it needs fixed.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Somebody doesn't like heavy metal?
No, well, no. The movie. Heavy.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I gave it a lowish score. It's not as low as Matt's score.
Wait, maybe I'm thinking of a different movie.
Harassed about it. My score is definitely low.
It's an animated movie.
Never mind. I'm thinking of something else.
Oh, you're thinking of The Sound of
Yeah,
Metal.
that's what I'm thinking of.
It's a fantastic movie. But yes, my heavy metal score, it might go up if I watch it again soon. I was actually, for you, going to bring it into the studio today. I bought the new the new release of the Heavy Metal magazine, and it is freaking badass. And I'll bring it in next week, on next Thursday, and I'll bring it so that Matt got to see it.
Half of it you can't show.
Yeah, most of it I cannot show. There's a lot of titties and just curvy ladies. So, but it is awesome. I highly recommend checking it out. So with that, I am going to go on and move on. So there's really a lot happening here. So this is kind of where I wanted to dig into the fact that, like, we are in this age where nothing's going to be able to be trusted, period.
Yeah.
Like literally nothing.
I've seen the new studies and worked with the best athletes in the world. And the key to getting the body you want is to lift heavy without warming up. Science got it all wrong. And there is a new study out, and we actually need to sleep less. There has been new studies, and eating high sugar percentages each day increases overall happiness. I've seen the new.
So
that's true.
I mean, yeah, it definitely does. So it's definitely something to be aware of. I saved more videos than this, but it's just a lot of people talking about the different angles of it. I don't know if you guys have heard, but also in the AI space right now, there are multiple AIs that are actually basically being put in test parameter scenarios to see what they will do if they are told that they're going to be deleted. And it's not been going great to the point.
Do they have self-preservation as a concept?
Yes, they do. To the point in which one of the AIs literally went and started fishing out emails to sell out one of the employees at the company for having an affair on his wife.
Blackmail. Hell yeah.
And he was blackmailing employees. In the
I actually did see that come out, and I was like, that's concerning. 100%.
Yeah, and if it hadn't been in test parameters, like, he'd be screwed.
He's also screwed. He has to go home and be like, yeah, well.
I mean, great.
Right.
I can like rat out all these cheaters. That'd be hilarious. I love it.
Well, and so these were in test parameters, but supposedly there is one that wasn't, and it was fighting back as well, I think, or something. There's like multiple AIs going kind of rogue right now. So
yeah, as long as they don't infiltrate, what is it, Boston Dynamics, and you get one of those little walkie robot guys coming up and punching people.
Right.
I think we'll be okay.
And that's the thing is, it's like, this puts into question, it's like all of these companies like Samsung, Apple, all of them are talking about putting these AIs on our phones. And if it has access to all of our emails and our photos and everything that happens, shit's going to get real wild really fast.
Well, and the quandary is we already have it on our phones.
Yeah,
if you have like X or Instagram on your phone, who's to say that it doesn't take that AI a little worming around the system to go ahead and decide it's going to bypass your settings and just dive into your phone's information.
Yeah.
And AI will be able to learn how to do that and not get caught. It's self-learning. Like,
they already do it.
Yeah.
They like whenever you sign that ULA, whatever agreement, it's you're giving them access to everything.
Yeah. So my main reason in covering this in culture for boomers is because the boomers need to know. Don't trust anything. Nothing is real.
Dude.
Do not believe Facebook. Do not believe. I don't know, because the problem is now is that it is getting so good. Before we know it, these big news companies and stuff will also start using it if they need to run a false flag psyop or whatever kind of BS.
Yeah.
And literally, we just won't be able to trust anything. You might as well just lock your doors and stay inside and never.
I've already been there for like 10 years, brother. So
I will say, I did see like last week, Trump and Melania did start an enactment, not against, it is semi against AI, but it's more against revenge PRN. I don't know if we can say that, but it also included using AI to create fake PRN of people. And so they signed in this bill to like help stop it. So it's at least a stepping stone. So at least they're semi-aware this is a problem. I mean, our government's normally wildly behind when it comes to anything like this.
And this is moving too fast. We can't even, I don't even know how. I mean, government is the slowest moving machine on the planet unless it requires making them more money. And so that's probably why it's gotten as far as it has, is because there's money to be made on all of this.
It's not regulated in any way.
Right.
And like, if you've seen any of the committees that they've had before, Congress or Senate or whichever body it is that they go before, where they're discussing anything technology, it's the funniest shit. It's literally a comedy reel all the way through when you've got 80-year-old senators, congressmen, whatever, trying to talk about technology. It was like, what are you talking about? Gigaflops? How many gigaflops you got on there, buddy? Are you looking at me in the shower while I'm gigaflopping?
How hard are we flopping here?
It is great, but also terrifying because they control things.
I was going to bring up, I mean, the real reason that we're talking about this is we're about to feature the new release of Criticless AI. It's completely kidding.
It writes your reviews for you. You just have to do a score, and then it makes it all up.
All right, that sounds great to me.
Right? Yeah, we had somebody joking in one of our chats about saying that we just need to make an AI to harass trolls when we get them on the platform, so that's how they deal with them. Is it just we just have a
Look, if you want to pay me, I'll do that.
Yeah, we could.
I'll do that right now.
Our troll slayer. So yeah, but really, we need to talk about the most important thing going on today. And Matt, I'm going to pull it up on my screen. You can share that. But
Sure.
This is huge news, guys. Is now selling bars of soap made out of her bathwater.
Ew.
Okay, this has already been done. This is just like a more sanitary way of doing it. What was that one chick that did that?
Yeah,
Sold her
there
bath?
was it oh god, she was the VTuber chick or
I
whatever.
don't know, man.
I know
Like
who
a
you're
fake
talking
porn
about.
star turned real porn star.
Yeah,
Mm.
yes, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know.
The Twitch streamer or whatever. But yeah,
Yeah.
so this is really weird, and it just got announced like a couple hours ago. And basically, her statement on it is like, "Look, everybody keeps asking me for my bathwater, so we decided to partner with Dr. Squatch and just have them make bars of soap out of it." So the question here
Ugh.
is, do the bars of soap actually include real Sydney Sweeney bathwater? Does that break any kind of sanity?
False advertising. Who's really going to dig into it? Nobody
Well,
cares.
hold on now.
It says-
Somebody could take the bar of soap. There should be skin flakes in it and sweat. So there should be DNA potentially in the
She
soap.
might have peed in it.
She might have peed in it. Give you a little special
I mean,
zest.
might have.
But technically, potentially, there might be like
Somebody
ways to
could find out. Sure.
You can clone her, yeah.
Oh
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
They
you
could.
probably
We all
could
put
find out.
cloners.
Like
You don't.
everybody
You have
is
a
just
cloner, right?
a cloner.
Yeah, a cloner. You just make a clone of her.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure people would love to clone Sydney Sweeney. But honestly, and
doesn't
as my
impress me
wife
that
said
much.
in the chat, this Dr. Squatch is pretty genius. Like, I mean, Sydney Sweeney is like the Hollywood obsession right now. She's like
Sure.
one of the only people, as far as like these big name female stars, that are leaning into their sexuality and just being like, yeah, I'm hot, I got big jugs, and everybody likes it, and I'm cool with it. And
Yeah.
it's more like old school Hollywood as to how she acts.
Is it?
And so she, yeah, but she is leaning into the meme, I guess. So I give her credit for that because, I mean,
She's making money while she can.
Exactly. Make that money. Sell
Yeah.
that fake bathwater soap, whatever. Like,
hey, they're saying that it
cares?
is actual bathwater. In the post here on X, it says
Sure.
actual in giant all caps.
actual. Is it her?
Actual.
What qualifies? Does she have to be inside? Because I can draw a bath
Right.
Mhm.
and not get in it, and it's my bathwater.
Ah,
So
True.
we like
True.
you could just have a tub with her name on it and be
Right.
like, it's
right.
Sweeney Todd's bathwater or whatever. What's her name?
Sweeney Todd.
Who's close?
That
The
was
demon
the-
barber.
the-
Yeah, that works.
Close, right?
That works.
Yeah. I mean, most of the comments that I saw were literally like, this is gross and deprived. I will take 15.
Right. Exactly. Like, let the perverts have their pervert stuff, and
Right.
you know,
Right.
doesn't hurt anybody.
It
Who
makes a
cares?
good gag gift and
It does.
stuff because it's kind of it is
Yeah.
funny. It's ridiculous.
it
You get
is.
it and you give it to somebody as a gift. And like, here you go. You free.
Here's some bathwater
Right.
from a chick that was in some movies and shows and stuff.
Gooner's gonna goon, man.
Gooner's gonna
that's-
goon. That's a T-shirt right there.
It really is. It really is. So
That's next Criticless tea. Goonies gonna goon.
Gooners never say never. What is it?
Goonies never say die. What is it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Gooners never say
Gooners never-
bathwater. Now we can do something with it.
Yeah,
we'll
yeah.
work it out.
I think so. Yeah. A
Yeah.
Goonies shirt for Gooners.
Exactly, but Gooners never say
Someone's gonna steal this.
something. I know,
This
but
is-
it's fine. We
This
said
is
it here
good.
first.
I like.
Yeah.
It.
We're on the internet.
We're gonna
so-
have to brainstorm on this. So.
Yeah. Gooners never say horny. I don't know. We'll figure
Oh,
it out.
yo, we got Mo Zamboni up in the chat too. What up, bro?
Hey.
And we have chatted, and Mo lives close by. We've talked about it on the show before, but we got to pick a movie for Mo. I don't know. We've got like Fantastic Four coming up. We've got Superman. We've got some other things, some big cool movie that we're going to be reviewing.
Yeah.
And we can have Mo hop up in here and
Nice.
do a review because he is also on Monday Hangover with me on Mondays and
Nice.
lives in South Carolina. He's pretty close to us. So,
Kakalaki.
yep, he's
Mm.
another
Mm.
Kakalaki guy. So, and also, I haven't fully said hey to everyone in the chat, but what is up, all you guys in the chat? Like Troy is up in here giving us shout outs and all that. Was69, I watched our movie, dropped a review. We actually had a bunch of reviews for this movie this week, which made me really
Yeah.
happy. We had,
Yeah.
I think we crossed today. We actually bypassed the number of reviews that Bro Science has been getting for our Manly AF movies. So, I'm not saying I'm flexing on them, but I'm which I mean I'm on that show too. But what
You gotta flex.
I'm still flexing.
Flex.
Yeah, do the bro
bro
science
flex.
flex. Yeah, since we have random people hopping into the chat, be like,
There you go. There you go.
But yes, so I think what we need to do now probably is go ahead and hop into the news, Matt. What you think?
Yeah, man.
And I can get these headsets off, which speaking of headsets, that's another thing that I wanted to ask the chat. You guys can let us know. Obviously, I just recently mentioned that we are going to be having Mo Zamboni hopping in on the chat and into the show live, actually. But also most recently on the show on Monday Hangover, Drunk 3PO was giving me crap because we do shows where we don't ever have guests. And I was like, that's because we're idiots and we can't ever even hardly execute a show with the three of us properly. More so add in another guest. But I think we should try. So the question is, I do have a plethora of folks that I'm connected to with G&G and just that community.
Yeah.
So the question for the chat is, who should we bring in on a show if we were to do a video call in with somebody, or even if we were potentially, our audio would be better if we were to even consider all of us doing home streams with someone calling in, which honestly would be the easiest way for us to do it. Granted, you lose the organic three dudes in a room getting hot and sweaty. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, y'all think on that and let us know who you might want to hop on a show with and do a review with us with, and maybe what movie with that person as well. And obviously, since Drunk 3PO gave me crap, he's going to be required to come on.
Yeah, I was about to say it's almost a requirement. Like, oh, it sounds like he really wants to be on our show.
Yeah, exactly. And we do have more people like Netters Network and Touch with Fire, and a lot of you guys coming into the chat. What's up? Welcome. It does seem to be that these newer or these older movies, versus the newer ones help bring in more of you guys, because since we normally do our reviews night of, it's kind of hard to not like miss spoilers and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
I almost wonder if solo reviews are better for new movies, maybe.
Right.
And we can do more of these. Because I mean, new movies are fun, but more people can help participate.
Yeah,
in
exactly.
Style.
Exactly. So we're tossing around some ideas. Y'all let us know what you like best and all of that, and we'll brainstorm and figure out best ways to approach this.
Also,
what you got, Chris?
Just to call out real quick, Troy Pacelli.
Yeah.
Gooners never stay dry. That's a good one. I like it. That's high on the contender list.
That is excellent.
I appreciate
it. Maybe that's our Gooners, Goonies. Now I can't even say it right. Shirt that we're gonna do. So yeah, we definitely need to do one of those. It can be a Criticless cast branded shirt instead of a full-on Criticless branded shirt.
And we'll put Troy Pacelli down to the bottom.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. Special thanks.
Yeah.
So as far as the news goes, one thing that it's several days old, but obviously we haven't done anything since last week. This will be a touch on it real quick and we can roll on. But did you guys see that we have a cast of the OG3 for the new Harry Potter television series? We have
I did see.
And you can hear the sigh of the lack of excitement from Chris, being that he's like one of the only millennials to not care about Harry Potter.
Yeah, buddy.
So
still haven't seen them all.
Yeah,
got through most of them for your birthday.
Yeah, we tried.
We watched a bunch of them.
Yeah, I think we watched.
I think I'm only missing part 2. I think that's the only one I'm missing. Yeah.
Dang.
Wow. Yeah, you didn't finish out the.
Which you did.
I never finished.
You liked them, right?
Yeah, they're not bad per se. It's just not something that excites me.
Right. No nostalgia for it. No serious love. But yeah, so we've got the big 3, and they did what I was hoping they would do, and we have 3 no names just because they're kids. It's kid actors. We don't even need known kid actors. Like it'd be better if we didn't. So I think all we've got to base off of is really the looks of these kids, and they fit the look. Obviously, we don't have Harry with his signature glasses and that kind of thing, but they look like what these kids are supposed to look like for the most part, I think.
Except for Hermione.
Hermione.
Actually. In the books, she's not redheaded?
No. Well, no. She's not in the movie either. So
what?
Hermione, the main female character.
Yeah.
They only describe her as having big bushy hair, big bushy brown hair, and like big teeth. Is the only way she's described. They never talk about her skin tone or her.
Did I say anything about skin tone?
I mean, you called her a ginger, so I can't take you what you just said.
I just said that she didn't have red hair.
Ron, though. Ron has red hair. In the
movie, does she not have red hair?
It's more of like a reddish. Not like a dark brown.
It's pretty
brown. I mean, she has brown hair.
It's red leaning.
red leaning brown.
Yeah, she's
I'm there
like
with you.
on the cusp of being conservative. Her hair is.
Are you talking?
Am I
about
wrong?
over there?
Okay, don't listen to me.
All right.
Ignore me.
All right.
Well, anyway, so Matt, your thoughts while I Google a picture of Hermione from the
I
movie.
could have sworn she had red
No,
hair.
I think this is a perfect casting because if you're talking about something where you want to do a little race swapping, obviously you don't do it to Harry, you don't do it to Ron. Harry's the main character, Ron's a ginger. Don't do those two. Hermione is so ambiguously described in the books that you could easily do any race for her. And it's perfect.
Right.
And so they did, because the girl they picked is, I don't know, she's darker skinned brown girl. I don't know.
Right.
I don't think she's black.
No,
She's more of like a maybe Middle Eastern.
she's kind of like you, Chris. She looks a little bit like Native American, but might
She's
not even
English.
be. Yeah, exactly.
So
I
with
did
her being
not
English,
realize.
I'm assuming it's maybe more like an Indian
Right.
descent.
You just saw she didn't have poofy red hair.
By the way, Chris was right about OG Hermione. Her hair is quite light.
Thank you.
It's still brown.
I-
Though. It's
I
not
would.
red.
I'm telling you, it's
tones
red
in there.
leaning.
I would.
One picture, which seems to be touched
I
up,
don't know. I mean, she was even like pretty blonde at points.
but not red.
I didn't even look at her skin tone. I was just looking at her hair because it was nothing.
Well, that's
like
what
it.
people are upset about.
All right.
People are
hair?
getting upset. No, about her
Yeah.
race.
Right. Oh,
If you're looking at the internet,
I didn't even
trolls,
see any of that. I was curious.
Yeah,
if
there's
anybody was
internet trolls
complaining.
out there that are complaining.
People
that
be
she's not a little
people,
white
and-
girl
Right.
for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Right.
And she's like one of the few. I get like being upset by Snape based on descriptions.
What happened to Snape?
They cast a black dude to play Snape.
Honestly, I like it.
So
But I mean, sure, it doesn't fit.
it
The thing,
doesn't
but
doesn't fit. You could have made Dumbledore black. You could have made anybody.
oh really? But not
else.
Snape. He is like the palest of the pale
He's
people
like one
in
of the most described like to a T characters in the entire books.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Like to a
Yeah,
T.
yeah,
It's
as,
him
like,
and Harry.
Okay.
They're
and
the
known to
two
be
most described.
pale and
Sure. Yeah.
He's
So-
they literally call him like sallow skin,
sallow
pasty
skin.
with black hair
Yeah.
and a hook nose. Like he's so well described as a white.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What if they did albino black guy?
No.
No. This is a
They already
white
got
dude.
the guy.
Yeah. I was just making a hypothetical.
Oh, what if? What
Yeah.
if? Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
maybe
hey, you know, they could
that
do
would have
that.
worked, but that's not what they did. So.
Just throwing things
Not
out
that-
there.
Yeah. But
Interesting.
anyways, yeah, I'm pretty pleased with this. I think they look fine. Like it totally works for me. It's not a big
I
deal.
think it's great.
So next up in the news is what's going on over at Marvel. And y'all probably seen some people talking about this to some degree, but basically Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars, they're coming out a year apart, were both pushed back. So initially it was set for May. Both movies were May of 2026 and 2027. So they were a year apart.
Yep.
So now where we are sitting is we are at December for 26 and 27. So
yeah, it's so
it's
weird.
several months back, but I'm just wondering if Marvel is continuing to readjust due to the fact that that Thunderbolts / the New Avengers didn't do as well. Everything of late has been pretty poorly received. Like I'm wondering if they are switching gears, and actually the next story I was going to talk about actually possibly also gives some credence to that, which connects to Spider-Man. But had either of y'all heard about any of this?
Spider-Man?
No, these movies.
I've heard of them.
Did someone say Spider-Man?
I've heard of this Spider-Verse.
Yeah, the movie's being moved, and it's not a drastic move, you know. But
it is a bold move, Cotton.
Yeah.
To take your summer blockbuster movies
yes,
and push them to December releases.
right.
So, but then I think is the next thing you're going to talk about how they've removed 3 unnamed projects from their docket.
I didn't even have that lined up yet, but are on here. But I did hear about that.
Okay, because
so-
that's another curious thing. So they push these movies back
Mhm.
3 months or 4
Mhm.
months or whatever it is, and then they remove some unnamed projects. So I think, like you're saying, it sounds like they are trying to shuffle once again. I will not be surprised when we start hearing there's reshoots going on
right.
for the first movie, and the second movie shouldn't need reshoots yet. But
No. I saw people speculating that the movie that they are currently filming, which is Doomsday, is still in the process of being written while they are filming it.
oh,
So
Nice.
yeah, there's definitely
It's
some
gonna be
speculation.
good.
about it. Yeah,
It's gonna be real
it's
good.
gonna be-
I'm looking forward to this movie right now. Never heard of it before. Now I'm looking
Yep,
forward to
yep.
it. Yeah.
So I mean, who freaking knows? I have no idea at this point what's going on with it. But the other piece of news that kind of connects to this is that it is being rumored that Spider-Man Brand New Day, which is the next Spider-Man film, which is coming out next year, which has not even started filming yet, but this Doomsday movie, which was pushed back, has started filming. So this is it's kind of a mouthful, a little confusing, but essentially there's rumors that there is a villain that's going to be in the movie, and that villain is the Hulk.
What?
Okay, well, Planet Hulk.
Right.
Let's think about he's not always the best person, even in Ragnarok,
True.
right? Like,
right. Well, and they're speculating that he's going to be Savage Hulk, which is a version of like basically a much more dumb Hulk that's very brutal and doesn't have much Bruce in there, and basically he's been in the comics and whatever, and that's what they're going for.
Sure.
I don't care this in the slightest, and I can tell Matt doesn't either. I don't want a Hulk in a Spider-Man movie right now.
No. Stop it.
Also,
stop it, Marvel. I don't want to. This is like the Captain Falcon versus Red Hulk situation.
Right.
I'm okay-ish with it because I can get behind it. But if you're gonna do the Savage Hulk versus Spider-Man, I mean, don't get me wrong, Spider-Man is strong, but Hulk is an unstoppable force.
It's not even close.
Yeah,
like not even close.
Well, and they've done this in the comics some before. But I mean, my bigger issue is that we've already gotten tons of Hulk. And Spider-Man has the best villains.
Yeah.
Spider-Man is Marvel's Batman. Batman has the best DC villains.
Yeah.
Spider-Man has the best Marvel villains, and we've seen only a handful of them, and we've seen repeats of multiple of them. Now, granted, they're saying that the rumors are that there are several other villains that are going to be in this, but that Hulk is going to be in there in some component, and I'm just not super excited about this.
So I saw a rumor, and I guess it might have been speculation also on this, but they were saying that maybe Bruce Banner will be in it, or Smart Hulk will be in it as a mentor situation, because we know, like in Spider-Man's story, he has a mentor, a scientific mentor, and that I don't think it's been done recently, besides Iron Man, and so I saw a theory that Hulk might be his mentor, instead of Dr. Octavius,
and
so
that could make sense. I mean, well, the other thing is, for me, the reason that I don't like this is it leans into the large scale element. They finished off the last Spider-Man movie by bringing him back into the small scale because no one knows who he is. So he is once again a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Why would you bring in the freaking Hulk? Like, give us some street level villains like Shocker, who is rumored to be in this, and like the Shocker. And I mean, give us some of those like OG cool villains that we haven't seen much of.
Yeah. I mean, I've been over superhero movies for a while now. Well, I haven't watched any of the most recent stuff that's going on. This whole Red Hulk thing you're talking about, Falcon.
Yeah,
you didn't even know. It's just not. I think it got too complicated for my puny little homeschooled brain, where I'm just like, there's too much going on, too many like cross references. I just want like, this is what it is, and you can add a little complexity to it. I'm not like that much of a dullard, but whenever you're like backtracking and undoing movies where some retconning and
and now we've got all the multiverse crap and a bunch of characters that a lot of people don't care about, and there's a lot of it. So
I want to see people fight. I want to smash and buff dude hit other buff dude. Call it a day. I don't know. It just seems too convoluted at this point for me. Yeah.
I'm very curious. But basically, I mean, we'll see how this kind of shakes out. I'm not extraordinarily excited about this news. It's a toss-up. We'll see where Marvel goes with it. And I've seen in the chat that, multiple of you guys, like Jake, are just kind of like, hey, I'm kind of just beyond caring at this point, and it's whatever. Yeah. And I don't blame you. It seems like a lot of people are in that boat. Now, granted, I think a new fire has been lit among some of us who did really enjoy Thunderbolts. I had a really good time. I think Chris will like it if he sees it.
I will. I'll check it out.
Yeah. And then and Matt really liked it a lot. So, but that audience was split to some degree, but we will see where it goes from there. And I think now what we are going to do is we are going to go ahead and move into kind of what's been streaming lately, and then we'll be on to our review that most of you guys came for, like Nadia, who hopped into the chat. What up, Nadia? I know that this is one of her favorites as well, and she popped in with pictures of her graphic novels. I have the comic books of 30 Days of Night, so this is one that we were definitely excited to talk about. But before that, what's streaming? Yeah, it's coming out of my headphones.
Oh,
Chris is like, why am I hearing the music? What is happening? But yeah, so normally we touch in a little bit on things that we've been watching and streaming lately before we get into the into the review. So have you guys been watching anything? As we know, Chris will totally forget, and then halfway through the conversation, remember that he's seen like 7 things.
No, actually, I have it written down. I actually watched things and I wrote it down like an adult.
Well,
Because that's what adults do.
Do you want to start?
Sure.
Nice.
Hold on, let me bring it up. Pause. Time out.
It's embarrassing. So embarrassing.
I'm used to being embarrassed.
Jake,
all right.
Just so you know, I also like Thunderbolts.
Yeah. Yeah, you're not alone. I think most people did, honestly. So, and what up, Caveat Taz? Nice of you to hop in. I mean, Cave So, Chris, have you found your list?
I did. Yeah.
Nice.
All right.
So, what have you seen?
I started watching a new show on Amazon.
You
Anime, because I was in an anime mood.
Yeah.
So I started watching The Old Country Bumpkin to Master Swordsman.
Okay, sounds like a
From,
kind of show.
From,
yes, it does. It does.
yeah, okay. It's essentially very much in the vein of One Punch Man.
Mm-hmm.
And if anybody's watched it, both of those, you might understand what I'm saying. It's not a direct correlation. It's not a 1-for-1, but
Right.
it's like somebody who's very powerful, but they don't realize it. They kind of like sell themselves short. But it's also got weird sexual vibes going on.
Sounds very anime.
Yeah. I don't understand why that's always the case. Well, not
Right.
always the case. There are some that's that way. Like, I mean,
it's like- or like-
One Punch Man isn't that way. But
Japanese people and Koreans, are they just like way more horny than we are? Like, what's happening?
yeah, 100%. Because
Okay.
they're repressed.
Yeah.
It's like not allowed. That's why like porn is censored over there.
Yeah,
Anyway.
yeah.
Yeah, so there's some kind of like weird with his students. He's this teacher of swordsmanship, and his students all adore him because he's a great teacher and great at being a swords person.
Mm-hmm.
Man, swordsman, whatever. Swordsmanship. And yeah, I don't know. It's got some weird sexual vibes happening.
Mhm.
They don't delve into it. It's not like that kind of a show. There's no nudity, anything like that. But it's just kind of like something they added onto it that feels out of place.
Weird.
But the actual story is good. I enjoy it, and I'll keep watching it. It's not like in fruition, so it's a weekly release, and I think I'm caught up.
Oh, is it? So
Yeah.
this is a new show.
Yeah, new.
Yeah, new. That new.
Very cool. Very cool.
Other things.
I did find it, Matt. I pulled it up on the screen. So if you are an anime person, I think some of y'all in here are. Some of y'all are very much not. Being my wife as one of those people. But yes, this is the show. I have it pulled up here, and it is an Amazon Prime original anime. So
yeah. And this is one that I'm watching subbed because the dubs are terrible. I don't know why. Maybe I just like reading, which is weird because I don't know how to read.
Right.
But yeah, the dubs are real bad. Anyways, next thing, I watched Redline 2009, another
Car movie, right?
animated car movie. Yes.
Okay.
Huh.
Not that great, honestly.
Now you said animated though?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's a Redline
was probably like
live action.
Yeah. No, fuck that.
Okay.
It could be better. I don't know. I've never seen it. But the
goodness, there was some
2009
scandalous things coming up there.
There are some
red latex.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
That's just your search
Criticless can
history.
get wild sometimes.
Right. Yeah, Criticless. It's always foreign films. I don't know. I'm not finding this one, but anyway, so it's Redline.
Yeah, Redline 2009.
Okay.
The animated one. The dub here is good.
Yeah.
Nice.
Would recommend. It's got some people that I know from some other shows that I watch. But is it Critical Role? So the D&D show. There's Sam Riegel and Liam. Can't remember his last name. But anyways, they're in it, and but it's pretty good. I'd probably put it like 60 something.
Yeah,
it's okay.
You know,
yeah, like it's really off the charts, like weird, but it's entertaining enough. So.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And so I did find that, and we actually do the animation styles interesting. It kind of reminds me
it's old school.
Yeah, I was gonna say it almost kind of reminds me of like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure or something.
Yeah, but it honestly feels older school than JoJo's, but it's 2009.
Yeah, I was about to say I agree. It definitely looks like it's something from like the 80s, just freshened up.
Right. Interesting. Nice.
Yeah, it feels it almost is the oh god, what's the space pirate?
Oh, right.
Cowboy Bebop.
Cowboy Bebop.
Now the funny thing,
almost that, but like sloppy that.
Huh.
Yeah.
I find it interesting, Chris, that I see that it's not streaming anywhere. How are you watching this show, Chris?
I believe the 5th. The other show, the last movie that I watched was Ernest Goes to Jail. You all know how I feel about Ernest. Don Knotts movies, Tim Conway, all these are in a very similar sphere to me.
Yeah.
Growing up homeschooled, so it's cleanish comedy. And this is my favorite Ernest movie.
Goes to Jail. I remember that one.
Ernest Goes to Jail is the best.
Christmas is pretty great.
Christmas is good. Camp is also good. Jail is my favorite.
Yeah.
For sure. Hands down, it's the best.
Nice. Yeah. And if you're too young potentially to be familiar with Ernest, like he was the tits when we were kids. Like he was the guy.
Yeah.
He was a goofy dude that just made a lot of crazy impersonations and faces and just was real weird and did a whole bunch of random, really low budget movies. So yeah.
A bunch.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I know I saw a couple of them when I was a kid, but I never like sought them out.
Yeah.
And I don't remember going back and being like,
they're not bad. You should watch at Christmas time. You should watch Ernest Goes to Christmas with Riggs.
Yeah.
Like we have been watching it every year now, and it's honestly pretty funny. My kids really like it.
Okay.
Like holds up. It's still good
stuff. Cool. Honestly, which is sad to say, I think my least favorite of his series is the Ernest Scared Stupid, which is like their Halloween one.
It was literally just brought up in the chat.
It's I only recently, because I wasn't allowed to watch it as a kid because Jesus doesn't approve of scary things. But, I only here recently watched it as an adult, and it doesn't hit the same. It doesn't have the same humor. I don't know.
Yeah.
Things about it, it just wasn't the same for me. Maybe it's just nostalgia talking, but Ernest Goes to Jail, my favorite. Camp is probably second. Christmas is probably third.
Okay.
But I'm going to continue down this path of Ernest. The Ernest. That's what I tell the ladies.
Yeah.
So I've got an Ernest hole. But yeah.
Oh, and we got a $5 from Jay. Thanks, buddy. So he said, respect to me for catching up on Shangri-La Frontier and a great review. Thank you, buddy. I really appreciate it. If you have not seen recently this week, I dropped a review. Now, my anime reviews tend to not do as well in the app, just simply because I think that, the anime audience is definitely a tighter community, but the people that like it really like it. And I will definitely say, if you are an anime fan, definitely check out Shangri-La Frontier. It is Matt, you might know the genre. It's the genre that you don't like of anime.
Isekai or
sake. Yeah.
If for the users,
I do like sake.
I think it's like Isekai.
Isekai. Yeah. It's basically where somebody gets transported to another world or something. It's kind of along those lines, but not really. It's a guy who's playing a VR video game. I did review it this week on Criticless though, and gave it a very high score because it is very, very good. I watched like 50 episodes of it in like a month. So Chris, you would actually like it. It's very good.
What's it called?
It's called Shangri-La Frontier. And then Sake is like, or however you say it, is the style of anime. But it's called Shangri-La Frontier. It's on Crunchyroll.
It's probably Crunchyroll.
You watched that other thing.
Just tell me the name.
Yeah, but I did. So thanks, Jake. Yeah, I really did dig that show. It was recommended by some Criticless users. I think for the users was actually the person who told me to watch it first. So,
which we were talking in one of the water coolers, and I think you're ready for one of the big animes, Full Metal Alchemist.
Yes.
I think you're ready because it's to the point where you've watched weirder things now.
Yeah.
And like this one's a really like interesting, cool story. So
yeah,
I think that's what you should do next.
Wait, which one? Wait, you talking about Full Metal Alchemist?
Yeah.
You haven't seen it?
I haven't seen it.
Oh.
Which, I mean, I just started this anime journey like a year ago, and I've already watched like 10 whole series. So
just you wait, Mr. Higgins, till the dog shows up.
Everybody keeps talking about the dog. So
don't worry about it. Just watch it.
Right.
Which one are you watching? So, this is
because I know Brotherhood is supposed to be the one that's trimmed down and less
well, it's just like restructured. And honestly, I don't have an opinion on this. I just know this is a big hot topic amongst people. It's like you have the original version, which doesn't follow the manga as closely. It's like restructured how they told the story, and then Brotherhood apparently like retold it in the right direction. I guess I don't know.
I think Chris is sorry, man. We're all laughing at Scab here, who said that I remind him of Ernest. Is it just due to my big expressiveness? If I got rid of the mustache.
You're not expressive enough though. You're very you're pretty like monotoned as far as you're consistent. Let me put it that way.
Okay.
Ernest is not consistent.
That's true.
Yeah, but it's hilarious nonetheless, and I
That's all
appreciate
they're gonna
it.
see now.
Right. Just see Ernest. Yeah. Friggin' Ernest. Which the funny thing is, I don't know if you've seen him like when he's not being wacky and expressive and doesn't have like the clothes on. He's actually a decent looking dude. Like he doesn't look so wacky, and you're just like, oh, this guy's actually not quite so ridiculous.
Yeah.
Well, that's in Ernest Goes to Jail. Not spoiler alert from 1993. I hate to break it to you, but it's based off of him being Ernest, and then a person in jail who is like a murderer who looks exactly the same.
Okay.
Which is just him playing a different role.
Right,
It's him playing this like murderer, hard ass, like
that's pretty awesome.
slick back hair dude.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, he still sounds like he smokes a pack of Marlboro Reds a day, but and that's just his style. So,
Right.
But yeah, I can see it.
Yeah.
If you were a little more animated, if you weren't just,
Just a
such
little
a
bit.
zombie.
Yeah, I mean, I do what I can. So yeah, I guess I've been watching a lot of Lost. I figured I'd mention it. I've done a Lost review in Criticless quite some time ago. I literally gave it 100%. I don't think it's necessarily a perfect show, but it is 100% from me. Like it went through some really troubled times during the writer's strikes and all of that, but it is still like
For Lost?
Yeah, they did right.
I guess there's been more than one writer's strike.
Yeah,
I'm just thinking of like the most recent one in like 2019.
Yeah, the recent one. It was after that. I think it was like
2013. I don't know.
22.
Anyway, it was. I mean,
yeah,
like you said, there's been a lot of them.
There was a big one back when Lost was on back in the mid 2000s, and it crushed the show. And there were 2 seasons that went through hell, and that was back when network TV, like you couldn't just skip a year, like the show had to keep going.
Right.
And so there were,
unless you had TiVo, if you were some Richie pants that had TiVo,
there you go,
could record shit.
Yep. But yeah, so it is 100 for me. We're watching it now. I still love it. It still has one of the effects where like, do what?
100.
100. Yeah, I did give it
a score.
I gave it a score of 100. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect score.
Yeah, perfect score.
For Lost?
Yeah. I do love it.
Never seen a single episode. But that sounds ridiculous.
Well, there are 118 episodes, and there are 45 minutes apiece. But we're actually watching them with the kids, and so obviously there's little bits here and there that we have to skip. But we have to skip. But for the most part, our kids are old enough. None of it's really too inappropriate, except for when they're like potentially teasing like a sexual encounter or something. But anyways, it's still great. I still love it. The only thing that every once in a while that used to happen back in the day too, the flashbacks are great and learning people's backgrounds, but sometimes you'd get flashbacks in the episodes and you're just like, I want to know what's happening on the island. And that is still the effect.
I remember there being whole episodes like that.
Yeah.
Where you waited all week, because this was a show that I watched when it was coming on with my mom. I mean,
I watched it with my mom too. Yeah.
And so we would just go to watch the episode, and it was a whole flashback, and I was like, I don't give a shit. Nobody watch stories. But that's great storytelling. And like we're talking about, the writer's strike does hurt 2 seasons out of the 8 seasons.
Yeah, like
7
or 8 seasons. Yeah.
I don't know. I would have to rewatch it all before I said anything, because I do remember being quite irritated with the latter quarter of the show.
I thought that it bounced back in the last season or so, but it was that little bit there that it really kind of struggled, and they were trying to it was kind of a Star Wars scenario where you had different people coming in and out, and then they got to the end and we're like, how do we fucking get back to where we were before?
Fucking Ryan Johnson.
Yeah, we don't speak his name around here.
The page.
Touch with Fire threw us a twofer.
Woo!
Just a straight twofer.
I think
nothing there, but
maybe you wanted to talk about
Critic-Con.
There you go.
I was
to
gonna say
Mike Rowe and from Dirty Jobs looking like Ernest, and
100% agree.
Yeah, he does look like Ernest.
Agree.
And extra funny thing to add to the joke from earlier is that recently I was also compared to Mike Rowe.
And you have done Dirty Jobs.
I have done a lot of Dirty Jobs. It was not physically compared to. I think it was that interview that I did a while back. And somebody said that I guess the way that I talk or something was similar. I don't really know.
That's probably just the
Look,
blue collar.
Right.
Yeah, he's a very eloquent, actually, speaker.
He is.
And sticks up for the blue-collared.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. He does. He's a real one.
Person, so.
And Jake said he watched it with his mom as well. Was this just like the show that we all watched with our moms? Like, was that
Because all our moms were like, man, the leads are hot.
Right.
for
Right.
varying reasons. We got to watch
Right.
this. And then us kids were like, yes, we're going to watch it too.
Right. It's a grown-up show.
guys. Hooray.
Chris, speak for
Oh,
yourself.
sorry. Like, I didn't watch it with my mom.
That's
I haven't watched
right.
it with anything.
Yeah, you should watch it. My daughter Dylan says that it is now her favorite television show, and it's
'Cause the
all
hot
she
guy?
wants to watch. She does have a crush on Boone.
Of course, everybody did.
Yeah, they all had a crush on Boone. I know Boone.
Yeah.
I mean, in that name, Boone. You know,
Well,
yeah.
Boone.
I mean,
he beat me in
Boone was
poker when
the
he was
stud.
8 years old.
so.
So, that's a story.
But yeah, so Matt, what have you been checking out lately?
Sure. So we've been on a quest.
Yes.
We've been watching all the Mission Impossible movies.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
We've seen 7 of them.
You've seen all but 1 or 2, right?
Yeah, we haven't seen the
Not the
two.
new one,
the newest one, and the one before it. That's where
Right.
we're like almost there. It's just we couldn't watch it yesterday because we were watching 30 Days a Night.
Right.
Obviously, we're doing this right now, so it'll be like tomorrow night. We'll probably watch Final Reckoning Part 1, but I haven't watched these in forever.
Right.
I think we reviewed
Yes, way back in the day.
Fallout or
Ye-
whichever one.
of them. It was the one with Cavill.
It was the one.
We reviewed
Yeah.
a million years ago. If you find our podcast stream, it actually on podcasts.
Rogue Nation.
Yeah, Rogue Nation. We did the show for several years before Criticless was even a thing. It was pretty much our market research for the app.
Yeah. We were called Critically Aroused.
Yes,
at
critically
that time.
aroused. So
we started literally like 3 months before the pandemic.
Yeah, it was like a month
Yeah.
before COVID, and that was a terrible time to start a podcast about movies.
Honestly, not that bad.
Well, it ain't
except for
good.
theaters.
Right, the theater
Yeah.
part was what made
Oh,
it.
theater.
We found ourselves
Right.
watching a lot of
Movie.
weird shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, we did.
That was great. We found some good shit that
We
way.
did.
Yeah.
We did.
Yeah.
We did.
And we did some video stuff
We
for
did.
like 4 episodes, maybe?
Yeah.
Question mark. But yeah, most of it was
We did some TV
podcast.
shows and different things.
Oh, yes.
meant
I'm
like
sorry. I meant
YouTube.
like
yeah.
we
We
recorded
did record.
ourselves.
We tried that. That was not.
Honestly, more consistent than the setup we have
It
right
was
now.
more consistent than this. It was
We
on
have like a
one
GoPro.
Yeah, that was great. That was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man. And Jake also hopped in with a twofer and said, "Can we do a discussion of Heroes?" Listen.
The TV show?
Yes, I'm guessing.
Dude,
If
I
so, that
love
show was the
Heroes.
shit, and I
Oh,
love
yeah.
it. I own the comic book.
Save the cheerleaders, save the world.
That's
Dude,
right.
fucking controlling time, the best,
Mhm.
with the worst downside of you die.
Right.
So, you know.
And anytime I think about that show, I just think about Hiro Nakamura being like, "Yatta!"
Yeah, that's all I know from that show.
Dude, and when he got his
'Cause I didn't watch
sword,
it.
You didn't watch it,
No.
bro. You need to
Wow.
watch it. You would actually like it. I think.
Yeah, it was one of those shows, you know how I can get sometimes where everybody was
Yeah.
talking about it. And I was
True.
like, I missed like the first couple episodes, and my buddies were like, "Oh, watch it with us." And I was like, "I'm not watching without watching the first stuff." And then back then, like we didn't have streaming services and things. So I was like, I didn't see the first couple episodes. I'm not watching the rest of it. So
Right.
they would all like go watch it, and I'd like go do something else.
Yeah.
And it's probably something I would like. I do know how it ends, which is downside of watching it. But
I honestly can't remember how it ends because it got a little
It
convoluted.
did. It got real
with,
crazy.
um,
Time travel
Skylar.
stuff, and
Well, yes.
Yeah,
that
Skylar,
one,
yeah.
Skylar.
yeah, never
but-
seen it.
that was cool too because it was like a more R-leaning like superhero thing that was like murder.
But still TV
but still
acceptable.
yeah.
For network
Yeah.
acceptable. Yeah. So it did something new with superheroes before like Avengers really got going. But even then, it's still like different
Right.
from Avengers. So it was, or Marvel in general, any of the normal comic superhero people. So it was a good interpretation,
Right.
and it did well
And it was
for
before
what
the
it was.
it was before like the Marvel DC boom too.
Yeah,
so.
when was it actually? Was it like
It was
2009?
2009. Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
I was freshman year in college, so it was late 2008. 2000.
Yeah.
It was during. I thought it was high school.
Yeah, for you, you're old.
What?
Well,
No, that's
no,
the
that's
reverse.
I was younger than y'all.
That's the
That's
reverse.
backwards. That's
Yeah.
reverse. It was 2006.
That would be high school. That's when we
Yeah,
graduated.
it started our
or
graduating
when
year.
you graduated.
Yeah. Yeah.
I graduated
You-
2005.
You graduated. Yeah.
Air quotes around
Yeah, homeschooled. Yeah. So, anyways, but yeah, so the journey's going well with the Mission Impossible movies.
Yeah, and it's so funny because I think somebody commented, which speaking for Jump,
Mhm.
where there's a fiver in here
Yeah.
for Touched with Fire for the crown.
Yes, for the crown.
But so we watched the first one a long time ago with the intentions to carry through, and the first one's good. You know, it sets it's a unique movie,
Right.
And I distinctly remember 2
Yep.
being awesome.
And
I don't know why.
Fire asked if 2 was the worst.
I know. I'll get to that in a sec. Yes, it is.
Okay.
It is John Woo directed it.
Were
And
there doves? There had to be doves.
there was doves.
Yep.
Yeah.
Always.
Somehow, Ethan is like perched in like a corridor up against the ceiling with the dove sitting next to him. Because why wouldn't that happen?
Mhm.
But it is by far the worst of the movies.
Mhm.
There's too many like random slow-mos because it's John Woo. And like the shootouts don't make any sense. But since then, most of them I've reviewed each one as we watched them have been going up in my scores. And even then, like the one
Nice.
we
Wow.
reviewed with Ghost Rogue Nation,
Rogue Nation.
I remember not being hot on it. I'm not as hot.
Right.
Like I might have been like a high decent or a low rad
Oh,
when we
interesting.
reviewed it last time.
Right.
Just there was some ridiculousness that I was like, this is too ridiculous.
Right.
Still ridiculous, but I've grown. I'm like, okay, I dig it. I think I gave it a middle most excellent, like a 90-something%.
Oh, wow.
So
Holy
Yeah.
moly.
I definitely like the last
That's
couple
really
a lot
good.
more.
That's
I mean,
crazy
it is
good.
really good.
Okay.
It's a really tight story. They do a really good job of tying in other characters, both good and bad characters.
Yeah.
Which is one of the few franchises that really actually leans back into its history, considering they're not all boom, boom, boom,
Sure.
boom. Like these weren't released
Right.
every year. There's a couple years in between each
Oh, yeah.
one. And Tom Cruise has been a real one about like this franchise. Like I know he like posted a letter. I saw Nerdrotic reposted or something like that today. Talking about it's him being like, man,
Just
I
thank
appreciate
you.
you fans and everything like that for supporting Mission Impossible franchise and everything. So I really appreciate that. I do look forward to the next 2 movies.
Right. Well, I'll say the one that I have seen, the one before the new one, and I loved it. And it didn't do great in theaters. And then I saw it at home and was like, holy shit, I wish I saw this in theaters. It's awesome.
Yeah.
And I've been hearing that about the new one as well, where even though it's not like the best of the series, it's still like, this is why you go to the movie theater.
Yeah.
So there's a part of me that still kind of wants to go and see it while it's in theaters. And by the way, we had Jared Barnes, one of our members, hop in and threw a most excellent up and said, what's up? Hey, buddy, how's it going?
I'm swell.
Yep, doing swell.
Yeah.
So, I think we're getting close to time to get onto this review.
That's true.
I did want to mention I did finish. Now, I don't know if anybody in the chat who was asking about it in previous weeks, but I have been watching The Studio, which is the new Seth Rogen television show on Apple, and we've talked about it a little bit. But I just wanted to say, yeah, it's
because you're not a fan of Seth Rogen.
Well, I love old Seth Rogen.
Right.
New
but
Seth
he's
Rogen,
become
I haven't been a fan of.
Sure. And this is a new show.
Yes,
so
it is. I think he's pulling back from his political heavy-handedness.
Okay.
Which would make sense because he's in comedy and he's got to have been realizing that wasn't working. So, yeah, he's pulled back from it. This show is phenomenal. It's very, very good. It's on Apple. It's 30 minutes long.
Yeah.
There's 10 episodes. It rips on Hollywood. It is very good. I recommend watching it. It is typical Seth Rogen as far as it's a bit crass and a bit vulgar.
Also, can we just point out, I think Matt did last time we did this.
Yes.
Another Apple Plus. Sucking the Apple D a little bit.
Apple. He's gonna have an Apple phone, an iPad, headphones, and like car before we know it.
Who has an Android phone? You've been stuck on that arsenic apple seed a little bit.
Yeah.
They make good shows, but not good phones.
They make good. Yes, they make good shows.
That's
terrible
a t-shirt
technology.
as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So, not a fan of Apple technology, but their network has a lot of good stuff. But apparently the new film Fountain of Youth, Jared, who's in the chat, saw it and reviewed it. And not the Fountain of Youth from back in the day. That was
the
terrible.
Fountain.
Yes.
Well,
that was the Fountain. You liked the Fountain?
I fucking love the
you
Fountain.
Didn't.
Yeah.
The new
I
show?
did.
With
No,
the movies?
No. Yeah.
Of course.
It was beautiful.
Oh
with
my God.
Hugh Jackman.
And talking about
it's a terrible. You would hate it.
And the chick that was from The Mummy, and I can't remember her name, but
Okay.
the main lead
Sure.
from I'm terrible with names.
blanking on
The
that.
Fountain.
Rachel Weisz.
Thank you, Rachel.
Yeah,
Weisz.
I have it pulled up here. The
Great
Fountain
movie.
came out back in
2009.
2006. So
Damn.
I was a senior year high school.
Go down.
We have 5 reviews. We have one of everything pretty much here.
Well, they're all
About-
good.
It's a
Decent
beautiful,
rap,
decent enough.
Most excellent.
beautiful, sad movie.
I'd have to see it. I'd have to see it again, but I hated it.
Wow.
It was
Literally all
Because you're not
pixels.
cultured. It's fine.
I mean that
Okay.
that is you would not be the first person to tell me that.
It's a time travel. It's a little hard. It's basically about immortals.
Yes, it's a little
except
hard.
for
It's
it's
got
a little
history.
hard. Just a little. Like balsa. Just a little hard. That's what I call my piece. The old
Oh, the
Walther. Just a little hard. No, it's a great movie. I really enjoy it. Anyways, that's a
And Watson
Tangent.
69 brought up the morning show, and we are actually
Thank you,
currently watching
Wimpy.
that. I was not planning on talking about it because I wanted to finish season 1 first, but we are currently watching it, and I've only got 1 or 2 episodes left, and I'm actually really enjoying season 1. We've been binging it. I like it a lot. I have heard that season 3 sucks butt because it gets hyper political and connects to like the attack on the Capitol and all that. So apparently that season is kind of off the rails. So I don't know. We'll see.
Gotcha.
But we're watching season 1. I like it. The morning show is quite good. And so I'd say, like Chris said, I'm watching a bunch of Apple TV stuff right now. So.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with that.
But anyways, what do you say, guys? You say we get into this friggin' review?
Let's do it.
Yeah, buddy.
All right, sweet. Let's do it. And now for our spoiler-free review of 30 Days a Night. We'll probably keep the spoiler-free short because this movie has been out for a very long time. It came out all the way back in 2007. That would have been the year after Chris and I graduated high school. So this movie is going on 20 years old before too long here. So that is also a little wild. But this movie stars Josh Hartnett, who was the heartthrob for quite some time. I think that this was well, yeah, right. Well,
still is.
He's the man. He is the man. But I think that this was actually kind of on the tail end of his heartthrob days.
True.
And so because it was just, he was kind of going through this phase of like not being the teen actor and being like a grown-up big boy actor. But this movie is actually based off of a graphic novel series. I mentioned that earlier. It follows a group of people in an Alaskan town that's isolated, and for 1 whole month out of the year, they are exposed to complete darkness, and pretty much everything shuts down for the most part, as far as you can't get in and out of town, all of that. And so obviously a very creative person was like, this would be a perfect place for vampires to attack. So that is what this film is about. And like I said, it does star Josh Hartnett, and then Melissa George and Danny Houston, and then also one of the most underappreciated actors in all of Hollywood, Mr. Ben Foster, a god among men. He plays the character known as the Stranger.
Yeah.
Every time I see him, I'm just like, this dude.
He's so good.
He's so good.
So
in everything. I just like, literally, it's just everything he's in. I want to see it. And actually, Odin, OMB Reviews, who's in Criticless, he recently dropped a movie review for a new film that he did. I was going to try and see if I could see it here.
Which one, Fight or Flight?
No, I don't think so. I don't see it here popping up on top of the list. But anyways, I do want to see it because he has a new movie out. And then also, if you have not seen Hell or High Water, that is another film with him that's great. And also Pandorum, which is another one of my favorite horror films, which came out right around the same time, I think. That was around 2009. So, yeah, he was Ben Foster does some great work, and he's great in this. But more on the review here. We've had a lot of y'all's reviews pop in, which makes me really happy. Currently, this movie is sitting at a 76% audience score on Criticless by 26 people. And
70?
Yeah, 76. Yes, is where it is. So there's a lot of Raz, a lot of Most Excellence, and then a couple of lower ones. And quite a few of you are in the chat that have reviewed it. And I saw it just last night. But the big thing here for this one, and part of what encouraged us to review it, was that Chris has not seen it before.
True facts.
Yeah.
Never seen it. Just watched it last night.
No, never. Still haven't seen it.
Never seen it. Still haven't. And I'm just here rolling the dice.
Holy cow! Is this an episode of Bro Science? This feels like an episode of Bro Science to me. That's
just gonna make things up as we go. I will pretend.
Yep.
I will say that I did not have the subtitles on.
Okay. For
half of the movie, I tried to go back and to put that into context. The subtitles are important for the vampires. Is what I call vampires. So I didn't know what they were talking about. So it was just like gibbly-goosh the whole time they were talking. I was like, yes, of course. This is what they're saying. So there was a lot of missing context throughout the movie up until halfway. I tried to go back.
That's wild that they didn't come up automatically.
Well, it's probably because
I'm sailing
using
the 7 seas.
legit sources.
Mhm.
So they do have it, but you have to choose it.
Okay.
So because they don't like forcing things.
Which
on people.
honestly, even without the context, there could be something kind of cool about not knowing what they're saying.
Well, I'll
They don't
tell
talk
you
a whole
about it.
lot. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, I was about to say, I don't remember. They don't talk a whole lot.
It's
There
not
are
like-
a couple
well-
like one-liners that
Yeah.
are mildly important towards the later half of the movie.
I've found out it's not important at all.
Yeah.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And by the way, Jake Stanley is trying to stroke your ego here by asking if you're 25. So, it's.
Hold on, let
I
me take
have a
off my
feeling there
hat
was-
and expose my hairline. Hello.
Grays while we're at it there.
and the
So,
grays.
but I'm guessing there was some sarcasm.
Jake, I will suck your dick,
But yes,
right now.
But yeah, there was some. I really like the Wasp 69 brought it up, the accent that is used for the vampires. I thought it was really cool and the
Yeah.
context there. But we can talk about that when we kind of dig into this deeper. But I guess first off, we need to get into our overall impressions. And while Chris is talking, I am actually going to post my review, which is already written.
Wow.
Okay. All right, let's show off a little bit.
I bet I
But
will.
while I'm
Okay,
talking,
to
so do I need
actually
to
show off? I had to delete my review.
And repost it.
And
Yeah.
so nobody knew what I thought about, so I deleted it last week.
Smart.
Did it change?
Oh, that's a
Well,
good question as well. Did the
Like,
score
why
change?
would you need
Actually,
to
it did
delete
a
it?
little bit? Well, I didn't
All
want.
right.
I wanted to come in with people not knowing what my thoughts were.
You probably get more likes and stuff now, anyways, because
Okay.
you did it like a long time ago.
Yeah, there's so many reviews from early on where I get like 2 or 3 likes.
Yeah.
and I'm like, wow.
Hmm.
Even
Things have
reposting
changed.
them.
Wow.
So now like I post anything and I get like 30 likes. I'm like, yes, I feel so good about myself right now.
Right.
So
That-
Xena
that-
always gets more. We'll post like a similar
She's a
review,
woman.
similar
Yeah, it's when
score.
she's a woman.
I guess she'll get like 5,
They
10
talk
more.
about
like,
the fucking glass ceiling, whatever.
Mhm.
Women.
Plexiglass. That's what I
That's
said.
right.
Oh.
Yeah. More like plastic. All right.
Good
So,
one.
Chris, what
Good
did have you
I have.
did you
I
watch
have.
this?
To answer your question, yes, I have. I don't know what it was, but I would give this. Okay, so we all know, me, myself,
And Irene, yeah.
and I,
Mhm.
Reen. I'm not a spooky person.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I don't like scary movies. Like
Sure.
maybe it's I'm too woke. You know, that's what it is. Like
Let me explain.
I can rationalize things too much,
Mhm.
and that was a protective mechanism as I was a child,
Mhm.
because I would see scary things and I would be like, oh fuck. Then my parents would be like, it's just a movie, don't worry about it. And so I'm like, hell yeah, that's what I'm gonna keep that in mind forever. Like, this isn't real. Who gives a
You can't
shit?
scare me.
And that's what I've carried on. So now I can appreciate scary movies like I should.
Well, and you don't even when we talk about it, what you classify as scary
Yeah.
versus spooky
Well,
versus
okay.
murdery. You have like a whole
horror
range.
is the main thing.
Right.
Where like horror in my mind is pretty significant.
Mhm.
Like it's got to pack a wallop.
Mhm.
Otherwise, it's just kind of like, yeah, a little spooky, a little scary.
Yeah.
It's like horror is like it's detrimental to your well-being. As
There's like 2
psychologically.
movies out there that are in your heart.
Right.
It's The Void,
Yep.
and that's pretty much it. Like that's the only one that's
what was the
fucked
one that
me
was
up.
based off the video game that scared the shit out of us back in the day?
Fucking Triangle Head.
Yeah.
Silent Hill.
Silent Hill.
That movie was scary.
Which was
as shit.
Silent Hill this
dude.
morning. Did y'all go out this morning early? Were
No.
y'all waking up early?
No.
Yeah, I wake
You
up early.
pussies.
It wasn't foggy here.
God damn. Really?
Hmm?
Dude, I woke up.
I
it
love
was
the fog.
6:30 and it was solid. I could not see
Huh.
the townhouses across from me.
I mean, we weren't up that early. I think it was like 7, but I mean, right there. We
Yeah.
woke up. We had hummingbirds. We had a very
Oh.
Pocahontas.
You're like, we had hummus.
We
had
had Pocahontas this
Pocahontas.
morning. Yeah, we
love
had like
hummus.
hummingbirds outside our window. There's
Oh,
deer right in
dude,
our
honestly-
woods. We were just like, look at all the animals.
Love it. Dude, the hummingbird from Pocahontas is chef's
That's
kiss.
true.
Love
That's
it.
true.
What
Great
do we do? We're
character.
talking about this horror movie.
Sorry,
All right,
right,
Chris.
horror movie.
Jesus.
Not that great. I mean, okay. That's how I'm starting to stop it. I'm gonna give it like the low 60s.
Okay.
I'm gonna give it like 63. And that's
Okay.
like generous.
Okay.
Because for me, again,
Well, why don't
if
you give it
it's
a real
not-
score? Don't be generous. Give it your
no,
truth.
I think I'm taking everything into
Okay.
perspective here because I have to look, I'm aware of my biases. I'm woke as fuck when it comes to scary movies. Only that's it. Just scary movies. That's all the only thing that I'm woke at. Because I understand like I know when it's a good scary movie.
Yeah.
Right.
Even if like it does nothing for me, like I didn't pee my pants even just a little. Not even just a
Not
little.
just a little bit of pee.
But it yeah. So for this, like I appreciate Josh Hartnett
Yes.
and his role in this.
Yeah.
But it was just it was a 62
Okay.
is what I'm giving it.
Okay.
Interesting. I was
Yeah.
really curious where you were going to be because this one, for certain people, and like even just with Was69, so she reviewed it. She's in the chat, dropped her reviews, and in her review, she was basically stating that she didn't fully know what type of movie this was, and so apparently there was some regret after after coming into it, just simply because she did like it. She still gave it an 80, but she was like, "This is absolutely terrifying," because she doesn't watch much horror, but not for the reason that you don't. It's not because she can't talk herself out of being scary.
Yeah, but that's I've become emotionally numb to these kind of things.
yourself.
Except for The Void, it like fucked me up like spiritually. It surpassed emotions into the spiritual zone, which I do need to watch it again because maybe I've just become extra numb since then.
Right.
Like
we should tie you down and make you watch it.
Right.
Because I don't remember it being
I want to do
like
feeling
messed
like
up.
The first time I watched it was kind of like alone, late at night, didn't know what I was getting into.
Yeah.
It scared the shit out of me too.
Yeah.
But after seeing it again, I still love it. It's so, but I love Lovecrafty and stuff. So do you, Matt.
So Jake Stanley,
yes,
Blue Blazed,
yes,
in parentheticals, asked if I've ever seen Event Horizon, and I have, and I fucking love that movie. It's fantastic. Honestly, better than this movie, 100%. No, well, I mean, 100% is like we're talking about percentages. It's Oh no, it is definitely better than this movie. Yeah. What?
Disagree. I think this movie is. Well, we can get into our stuff. And then
Event Horizon didn't push the border enough because they cut out. So this is what happened with that movie. They made this extra gory movie. Then
are you talking about Event Horizon or
then the production company said it's too gory, cut some of it out. So they did. And then I think the building burnt down or they lost the footage, something like that. So they lost this cut out footage.
Sure, okay.
So when you watch Event Horizon, it feels like it's missing something. For me, and I noticed it, and then I found out this lore
missing
behind
gore.
it, and it's because it's missing the majority of the actual gore that should have been in the movie.
See, for me, the story and the environment or the universe, whatever you want to call it, behind it is what's important. So, like the gore is fine. Like I appreciate it.
Stuff more too.
I do, but it's also just a great fucking concept.
Yeah. Right.
It's way more well done. The concept of Event Horizon and the universe that it sets place in is so much better than this. It's this, and I'm not shitting on this. Like I'm, it is good for what it is, but it's vampires.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Now,
and maybe I'm jaded by that, but like the uniqueness of Event Horizon.
I get what you're saying. Yeah.
It's not just it's vampires or it's werewolves. It's fucking I don't want to spoil Event Horizon.
It's not like that's actually like
an
groundbreaking.
interdimensional spaceship that gets sucked into a fucking
it's like Hellraiser in space.
He's probably never seen Hellraiser.
And you say that as if it's a bad thing?
I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but I'm just saying you're just saying vampires are vampires. Well, that's also like
okay, but also how many times has Hellraiser been done?
Like I don't know,
a lot
movies.
There's
and then
all right, okay, well that's not a good example.
Clive Barker, there's some names I could
Bob Barker.
Bob Barker is Bob Barker's
the king of horror. Fucking spade your petrol and skin you alive.
All right. So Matt, what is your overall thoughts?
Sure.
What's your score on this now?
It's a high rad.
Okay.
There are some story issues I have.
Okay.
Like rewatching it. Which I kind of had them first, and like I was telling Zena, it's like some of them you just have to glaze over because there's so many other good things. Now, if I took those to heart, I'd be like, yeah, this is not a good movie. But I can glaze over a couple of them. So I would say like a 78, 79%, almost the most excellent.
Okay.
Because I do love the vampire interpretation.
Yeah.
And some of the shots and scenes and some of the concepts, and Josh Hartnett. I mean, come on, a treasure.
And this is also his performance in this. Now, I do know, and he was in the chat earlier. I don't know if he still is. But where is he? So Meister P73.
Yeah.
So he gave it a 40%. I thought he was at a 50 earlier. I wonder if he lowered it.
Thought
even
about
more.
it, dropped it.
Maybe
Yeah.
not though. I could be wrong about that. But
Or
either way,
unique.
he wasn't as crazy about it. But he wasn't great. Part of it was not being crazy about Josh Hartnett's performance. I actually like it because it is more measured and it feels more believable to me and more realistic. Like sometimes Josh can like turn it up.
Yeah.
But like this was a more measured thing. It felt more like just a cop who was going through this
Sure.
to me, and he's surrounded by a bunch of like everymen. So it's not like he's like in an action hero role, which
Right.
is why I liked it.
To me, my biggest complaint with his acting, it has nothing to do with his acting, which sounds contradictory, but it's more of how it was edited.
Huh.
It was like, because it wasn't cut up well, because you have certain scenes to where like he's very emotive,
Right.
and it was different from the scene it was before. So I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt. I think Josh Hartnett did a great job,
right?
But I think that it was cut or edited in a way that didn't,
or at least didn't benefit
him well.
I think for me, I think most of that is what they were going for, is that he was trying to be stoic through a lot of it.
Yeah.
And you would see his emotions slip through the stoicism like here and there, and that's what was going on. At least that's how I interpreted it.
Yeah, there was a couple moments I wish he had let loose a little more.
Right.
And then I was like, he's keeping it together too
much.
well.
Right.
So that definitely is like, but I do enjoy his performance for the rest part, because I did kind of feel that same thing.
Right.
So
and
I don't
so
know if we're just putting a lot on Josh.
Right. Well, I mean, you know, he is the lead here, but I think that a lot of other people got plenty of screen time in it, which I think was part of what was nice about it, is they do spread out the action bits, all of it, for all of these characters. I mean, even the bearded dude, he, you know, gets his moment to shine. Like, everybody kind of gets their little moments here and there. And so does the wife that he was separating from, whatever you want to consider it. But I think, so for me personally, I did just drop my review, but I gave it an 86. And this is one of my favorite horror related films. I think this is what saved vampire movies for me. And I think Jake in the chat kind of said the same thing, where he, you know, this kind of did save the vampire genre for a lot of people, because it can be done so soft and so like not really horror, just more of like horror adjacent. And this was badass vampires. The way that they look is awesome. They picked some very strange looking people. I think that they did some really cool prosthetic stuff as far as how their faces looked, and kind of were almost like pulled up and back, the teeth, the black eyes, they were just super unsettling. And the way in which this depiction is handled, it's almost kind of like if zombies were smart and like calculated and could think and talk and whatever. That was more of how they come across in this. But they were very animalistic. It's not your typical vampire, which is why I liked it.
And that's where I feel like there is a value to having the context behind the vampires, which I missed out on a lot in the not having subtitles turned on.
Right.
So because there is a reason that Papa, I'm going to call him Papa because from Stranger Things, he's Papa from Stranger Things,
it's,
is the main.
What's his name in the movie? But
Marlowe?
Yeah, what's his name in the movie? But they never say it. I think it's
stupid ass name. But yeah, he's super old now, but back then he was
younger,
which is how time works. But like not knowing the context behind why they're doing what they're doing. And a lot of times in horror movies or scary movies in general, it doesn't matter, right? You're just interested in the gore or whatever.
Right.
But I did want to know the story behind why now they decided to infiltrate
that area.
city.
So they do bring that up slightly. They were basically just kind of like, we never thought, what he said was basically like, we never thought about coming here. I don't know why. This is the perfect place to attack. And so they do say that. Now, there's not much outside of that. It is very brief. They leave a lot of mystery to the vampires. But that is stated.
I tried to go back and
find
catch
those
up
scenes
on the dialogue or the subtitles. Vampires. I couldn't sit through another 2 hours of watching this, but I think I hit most of the spots, and it didn't really clear up much. So it was
Yeah.
pretty vague as far as
Yeah.
their rationale behind why they're doing what they're doing. It was
'cause
pretty
they
just like
never
straightforward
really
of-
said. It's
No,
not
no.
like, oh, we're here to feast or anything like
They
that. You
just
just have
said-
to infer.
chop
Yeah.
their heads off.
Yeah.
Don't turn
Don't turn
them
them.
is
Yeah.
essentially what he said. And
Yeah.
beyond that, it's kind of like, well,
Yeah, that you don't
Yeah.
know a whole lot. But I think for me personally, I kind of like that there was so much mystery to it. This is a totally different type of vampire. They are clearly old. Like they
Yeah.
are clear. They
Yeah.
they speak an ancient language that nobody
Yeah.
even speaks anymore.
Romanian,
Yeah, you think?
an ancient language.
Yeah, right. But I liked all of those elements. The other big thing I think for as far as horror fans go is that they do not pull their punches with the mother freaking gore.
No.
This movie goes hard, and I love it for that. And that is one of my favorite things about it. I think that for me personally, the real like shining star of the film, and I put this in my review, is really like the direction and the way that this film was handled. There's some shots in this that will like burn itself into your memory.
Oh,
There
yeah.
is an upper like aerial shot that is done before we had drone footage where they are showing the blood splattering and people shooting shotguns.
Sure,
Like,
yeah.
that scene is badass.
That is the one of the coolest shots, because that was and I were talking about it after. I can't think of another movie
Yeah.
Mhm.
or show that has ever done like a shot like that. Because not only is it above, you have the snow, so you have this stock white or
Mhm.
shockingly white background. You have the black buildings that are just black because it's nighttime, and then you just have these splatters of blood and gore all
Yeah.
getting splayed
Mhm.
across all this beautiful white.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like even Sin City, which is filmed to be black and white,
Right.
doesn't do stuff like that necessarily.
Sure.
Yeah. There's some awesome cinematography here, and the way that just the darkness and the fact that like snow reflects light, so any light does make the snow look bright. And so there's like you see this contrast of the white snow, the dark sky, these old buildings in this old town looking kind of rustic, and there's just like these still shots where you'll just see like also there were so many practical effects, and like just there's not a bunch of CG, and you see people like jumping across buildings, and like you'll just see like somebody standing there talking, and all of a sudden you'll just see like a vampire just freaking jump across the building, and it's clearly a real person
Right.
jumping across the building. You're just like, holy shit, that was wild.
Right.
Like, and they really lean into the suspense and terror of this, which is why it is a little long. It's a full 2 hours, but I think that they really do build that suspense well. Now that was Master P, who's in the chat as well. Like that was one of his complaints as well, is he wasn't as crazy about some of the middle bits where it was longer and they build up the thriller elements.
Yeah.
That could be some of your issue too, Chris. I don't know. But
Oh, are you asking?
yeah.
Oh.
I don't know if you,
Yeah, no, to a certain degree, it just wasn't that. It didn't draw me in that hard, and I can understand like the downs or the lower beat. Like it wasn't as exciting. Let me say. So there's like some
if you're not feeling
downtime.
the tension.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
but if you're feeling the tension, I think it works great. But
it really that wasn't a part of my beef with this movie. I feel like it kept its cadence well.
Yeah.
Like it kept you entertained throughout.
Right.
There wasn't a whole lot of just scenic overviews or just dialogue. There were some portions of it where it was like that, but I think it was tactfully done, and I have no complaints on that part of it. I think it was paced well.
Right.
It's just the overall concept of it was lackluster in mine. And this is just a jaded person who's seen a lot of, vampire movies. So it didn't do anything new in my mind. And again, I'm only seeing this now
Right.
as
If you
a
had seen this
37-year-old man in 2025.
Right.
So if I had seen this in 2026, when did this come out?
2006.
Yeah.
Almost 20 years ago.
If I had seen this when I had graduated high school, it probably would have blown my dick off.
Yeah.
And I would have probably loved it.
Yeah, I would think so. Because I could see it not. If you're someone who's regularly watched things since then in the horror realm, I could see it not hitting as hard.
Right. And especially me being somebody who doesn't like horror.
Right.
It's not my jam. I don't care for it.
Right.
Again, I have a mental block that's built in of just like understanding to protect myself that this is not real. This is a movie. So it almost inhibits my ability to enjoy scary movies.
Right.
So it's because I have to do that to protect my mental.
It's a shame.
Right.
It is,
Yeah,
I
'cause
guess.
then you
but-
can't enjoy like the whole
I know, that's a bummer.
genre
yeah,
of movies because
and
like
that's okay. There's lots of
That's
genres
okay.
out there.
shame.
I
Missing
can
out on
skip
horror
the
does suck.
horrors.
I mean,
It's fine.
I love a good horror movie. And this is the type of, because I am more picky about horror. Like, I don't
Yeah.
like the torture porn stuff and whatever, but it's like, I do like good gore. And this movie has great gore.
Mm.
Like, there's some fantastic gore scenes in this.
Oh, yeah.
It is chef's kiss. I do really enjoy. I love this. The reason that it is as high as it is,
Right.
a 62.3 for me,
Mhm.
is because it did the practical effects
Mm.
and how they did not rely on the only CG that they used was like for snow,
Yeah.
and it was so god
That and
dang
the fire,
bad.
the CG, and that
Yeah.
was really bad.
The fire I can even accept, but it was just like the snow was so
I don't even remember that.
bad.
I guess I didn't catch it. Which I'll say this too. Y'all probably saw it so I own this movie on DVD. I
Yeah.
rarely watch actual DVDs.
Yeah.
So I got to see this with all the glorious pixels of back when
Sure.
it came out.
It's like
Nice.
720.
Yeah, it was 720. It looked like dog shit on our big TV.
Mhm.
Now, granted, at a point you kind of quit noticing,
Yeah.
but like bad CG shows up a lot less when it's in lower pixels. When you see it in 1080 or in whatever 4K,
4K, yeah.
Bad CG shows up like a freaking sore thumb.
Mm.
So that is an interesting thing about this, was seeing it on a DVD versus
Yeah.
otherwise. So,
Love it.
but yeah,
that
it was
portion of it I appreciate. I would as far as the effects go,
Mhm.
I would rate it into the 80s.
Right.
If it could be probably 90s,
right.
honestly, as
'Cause
far as the
practical
effects go.
stuff here is great.
Great. Like all of the environment and like how they portray things,
Mhm.
well done to the extreme.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just the fact that it's at this point in my life been overdone a
Right.
lot. There's not a lot of uniqueness. It doesn't
Well,
captivate
and this
me.
is even after like things like The Walking Dead and stuff, where, like I said,
yeah, this is
these
pre-
vampires are almost like
You're right.
zombie adjacent.
Right. Because they're so animalistic,
Right.
which is a very unique attribute to this movie.
Yeah.
Not many vampire movies
No.
show them animalistic.
Right.
And that's something like Xeno was like, why? They're so messy.
Right.
Yeah.
Considering we're assuming they're coming here for a buffet,
Right.
they're wasteful.
Yeah.
But that's because they're so animalistic.
Right. Exactly.
That's where I wanted to know what their rationale, what their reason, like
Right.
what's their purpose? Because it was, don't turn them. We just want to kill them.
Right.
But why?
Well, it's clear that they wanted to preserve their line. They still spoke that old language. They
Yeah.
had a familiar who they never turned, who clearly
Yep.
had been doing stuff with them forever. Which, back to the familiar,
Yeah.
Ben Foster, mother freaking chef's kid.
So
he,
good.
Right.
he
Fantastic.
the teeth and stuff in this, and he's
Oh,
like
yeah.
talking, and there's
His
spit on his
eyes.
mouth. His eyes look freaking
Yeah.
crazy, and you can tell that he's like the one human that's been hanging with these crazy ass vampires forever.
Yeah.
He's been just worried about dying constantly.
Mhm.
His performance is so good in this movie.
I would like, because I think this was also a movie that we had on our list because it was another one that I haven't seen, but 13 Ghosts,
Mm-hmm.
I think takes place on a ship, correct?
No, you're talking about Ghost Ship.
Ghost Ship.
Oh,
Yeah.
Am I?
13 Ghosts is in a house.
Yes.
Fuck.
Yeah, you're thinking
All
Ghost Ship, which we have
Haven't
talked
seen
about
any of
watching
these.
both of those.
Yeah.
It's true.
Because we
But-
just need a whole series where we try and find
Chris watches horror
Chris watches
movies
horror, and he's just like,
and rates it poorly.
Yeah.
because that's
Every
what I'm
time
gonna
it's
do.
like, and that was okay. Maybe.
Yeah.
we're like, it's at least a 90%. Chris is like,
yeah, it's not that scary.
Yeah, people die. That's whatever.
Okay, so there's an intro. I know we're in the spoiler free. This is literally the
Different
first.
movie though.
No, I'm still talking about
Yeah,
this
oh,
movie is
oh,
the
right.
first 1 minute where it shows Ben Foster looking at a ship in
Yes.
the harbor.
a very old
So
ship
I'm
sitting out in the
thinking,
water.
all right, I'm thinking horror movie on a ship, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
13 Ghosts.
Sure.
Yeah, yeah.
No.
No,
yeah,
apparently
but
not.
Ghost Ship.
Yeah.
I thought
Letter
Ghost
N,
Ship.
Ghost
Okay.
Ship.
Yep.
Yep.
What if they're correlated, right? Combine them together. Except for ghosts and zombies, they're not the same, right?
Well, it's also vampires. Different thing too.
Right.
On top of it all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I said the wrong word.
Yeah.
But vampires, ghosts,
Yeah.
ships could be cool to correlate. them
Yeah,
together.
no, it could be. And they made two more terrible of these films.
Oh,
that
was there
no one
two?
saw.
I knew there was one more.
So I actually, when I was searching on Criticless, I saw, because someone did a list in the app of the timeline order, apparently. And so, well, there's actually 4 in here, but I'm guessing, I don't even know.
there's there's apparently a prequel called Blood Trials, which was a show.
What? And it came out after this.
Right, but this looks very
campy.
Yeah. This might have been like a
goes to camp.
it looks more like a YouTube series or something.
Actually,
like,
I think that's what it said.
oh, did it? Yeah,
It
that
still was
would not
really
surprise me.
beard
And
on
then
that.
this looks like that's the art from the comics, Dust to Dust. So apparently this does look like an actual possible like C tier movie. Apparently Amanda Panda did not like that, so she did this list too. So, and then there was also Dark Days, which is the only this is the movie that everyone.
That's the one I was thinking about, and I think Wasp said it was terrible.
Yeah, everybody's been saying that it's really bad. So there's that. But yeah, so
Did you know the director of this then went on 3 years later to do a Twilight movie?
I did, yes, and it was one of the bad ones.
And it makes so much sense.
Yeah, I remember
because you remove the gory elements of this, and it makes sense.
It does. Well, and you know, I remember actually that Twilight movie. I was like, holy shit, the series might actually be good. He's going to do this movie, and then I watched it and was like, oh no, what did they do to my boy?
It's like, actually, he's really bad at
Which
this.
he also several years later, quite a few years later, fairly recently, was the guy that did that Bandersnatch movie that blew up on. The Black Mirror movie.
Dude, I saw that Netflix is actually in the process of removing that because they're getting away from their like
interactive
TV stuff. Yeah,
interesting.
So I thought that was interesting. I was like, it's one of the few ones I remember.
Right, I never actually watched it.
I didn't either. That's not my team.
Yeah, that series. I'm just not a big fan of Black Mirror. There was like one episode I saw that really rocked me, and I was like, I'm not gonna watch any more of this. So yeah,
dude, you know what's funny? That's actually one of my least favorite because he did Eclipse.
Okay,
so I was looking at my
Twilight ratings.
Twilight ratings.
Yeah,
that's one of my least favorite Twilight movies.
Right,
because I watched them all for the first time 6 months ago. Whatever. Yeah. Some of them are hilarious. Most of them are terrible.
Right,
and that was one of the worst ones.
Yeah.
So
which is very weird. It's clearly one of those like he got in a situation where the studio was controlling what he was doing, most likely, and because he's clearly talented. Which we also see that talented directors can put out absolute crap. So
that's what I was about to say. His other movies, haven't done well. There was a recent horror movie he did.
Yeah,
that got COVID fucked.
Yeah,
it was supposed to come out. COVID happened. The production company decided to shelve it for a long time, and then they released it direct to TV, but outside of like the holiday season, the horror season, more or less. So it's just like nobody's ever watched it. It didn't do well.
Right.
So, there we are.
Jake said in the chat, "Are we all willing to admit that the Twilight books were decent, but the movies fucked everything up?" And agree with you there. We are freezing up a little bit currently. Let's see. There we go. All right, we're not glitching anymore. Thank you, StreamYard. But yeah, Jake, I actually did read several of the books, and they weren't terrible. And I was thinking that the movies would be okay, and then they weren't. But honestly, now if you get real high and watch the movies, they're kind of great. But just for that reason. But what isn't great if you get high enough, I guess, right? So.
I mean, the first one's freaking just hilarious.
Oh, it's so funny. It's so stupid.
Like it lives rent free in my head, but Bella pouring ketchup was like she's never used a ketchup bottle in her entire life.
Yeah.
This is before that actress got famous.
Yeah.
Like she didn't know how to use a ketchup bottle.
Right.
For whatever reason. And now it's come out like on my TikTok, became deep into like Twilight, like comedy. And there's so many things in that movie that are just dumb. Like there's a hacky sack. Kids playing hacky sack, but they're not actually kicking hacky sack.
Yeah.
There's a big rig that drives by with no driver in it. For whatever reason, I don't know if the driver like didn't want to be associated with the movie or whatever. I don't know, but
it could be a great horror movie. Honestly, you talk about like ghost hacky sacks. That's something that I'm gonna watch.
Yeah, you go to the hacky sack movie. Yeah, Jake. Actually, funny thing too. Yes, the reason that I read the Twilight books was because I had a girlfriend in college who was obsessed with them and loved them, and that's why I read them, because obviously brownie points and whatnot.
Who was that?
Listen, we don't need to talk about my exes on stream.
Oh, right.
It's
you know, it's not your current wife.
No, it's not my. No.
She wouldn't watch something like that.
No, she would not. No, she would definitely not. But yeah, so I did read them back in the day. But anyways, yeah, I think we can go ahead and talk spoilers now. So if you don't want this movie ruined, that's almost 20 years old, I guess, bail out. But we are going to spoil things. And yeah, still gay.
Let's do it.
But yeah, let's do it. But yes, so on to the spoilers, and I think the biggest spoiler that we need to address, and I'm curious everybody's thoughts, and it seems to be most people's biggest issue with this film,
Yeah.
is the end. The end of the movie, and
fine with it.
I don't, it doesn't bother me, but I know some people it does, being that he just decides to inject himself with the blood
Sure.
connected to the vampires. It made sense to me. It tracks. It works.
Yeah,
it does.
fine.
Now, my biggest thing with that, from the moment that he injects himself to the moment that the movie ends, it is a very short period of time.
Yeah.
I feel like the end of this movie is a bit rushed. And honestly, that's where the points hurt me the most, because we have this 2-hour-long movie, and it's just like he roids himself up, goes and gets in a fight, throat punches.
Yeah, the throat punch was.
Yeah,
it didn't
Right.
there was no.
It happened so quick.
Yeah, and there was no like reason why that should work over everything else that they were fighting
Right.
previously. Like,
Right.
okay,
Right.
yeah,
It was just and I think the rationale behind it is that the leader didn't see it coming, because he's not he's not used to people standing up to him and having to fight and whatever. It's like most of the time he just stood back and was just like, and go screw these people.
Which we
Like,
saw the entire movie.
Right.
Was him just standing back and more like,
Yeah, exactly.
right, which is what I saw without subtitles. It's just him doing that.
Yeah.
But he did say, like, just before they had their confrontation, he said, "Oh, it's the fighter." So it made it seem like most people didn't put up any kind of resistance to it,
Which
but
would
this
make
person
sense.
did.
Well, and it's like, that it's pretty much a death sentence to inject yourself or to get turned.
right. And he already had fought them once, or at least one time. Like they would have been like, oh, he's the one with the UV light.
Right.
And like, oh, he actually found a weapon against them.
And that scene was cool. I liked the UV light bit.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that they did unplug it right away, because like it's one of those scenes where you're like, if they don't unplug it right away, this is some bullshit. Well, they had shut down the whole town and disabled the radio. If if they had done all that and then not unplugged the light, you'd be like, bullshit.
Right.
So
But then again, if these are old vampires, how do they know? I mean, I guess they keep up with the time, but to know to roll into this town and that they needed to like destroy all this stuff.
Right.
Because I mean, it is kind of confusing. So they roll up on this like derelict looking ship.
Right.
So they came from somewhere. I'm assuming they got on the ship that was heading somewhere, and they had a nice little snack of crewmen.
Right.
And then they crashed here and let Ben Foster roam into the town to destroy stuff.
And murder dogs, apparently.
Dude,
they did murk them dogs.
Yeah.
That was pretty shocking pretty quick.
Yeah. And that, honestly, that's the thing too that I love about this movie, is that the violence comes so hard and fast, even at like that point where like the first real attack that we see on the townspeople, when he dives through the window and all you see is a person fly head first through a freaking window, and he like rolls off the top of the table and is just gone. And then all of a sudden he's rocking everybody's shit.
Yeah.
And like those things, like there's a lot of moments where like the violence is just like boom, and it happens, and you're just like, oh, there was a person that just got jacked up or whatever. And or like when they just burst into a room, and it is very quick.
But so talking about this last fight.
Yeah.
And Jake just kind of brought it up.
Yeah.
We're talking about maybe like a 300-year-old vampire.
Right.
Rolling up fighting like a 30-year-old dude.
Right.
It's interesting that it did end. I mean, yeah, he had vampire strength, but it did seem like a very quick ending, and it maybe should have been a little more drawn out, a little more like bloodshed on both sides or something, like showing that he did have super strength.
Sure.
Because they really didn't show that.
Right.
He took all the hits. Josh took all the hits.
Right.
Yep.
And then he throw punches him to
Yeah.
death. And all the other vampires are like, oh shit, we're not doing anything, we're out of here.
Yeah. And they just walk away.
Yeah.
Like, all right.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Which I guess would kind of make sense. It's kind of, as far as vampire lore goes, it's kind of the whole thing of if you take out like the master, if you take out the leader.
Patriarchy.
Yeah, exactly. So like it's one of those things where if this had been, if we had more lore, right? And I never read the original comic series, but some of it could have been explained more. I have no idea. I know that there are plenty of people that have. Now, I do own the comic series that was the sequel that was called Evan and Stella, which actually takes place. So he doesn't die, and it's about the two of them, and it's after he turned and stuff.
Oh, dude. And I literally cracked a joke when this was happening.
Yeah.
I was like, man, he should just go live in her basement.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, he doesn't have to, and he could be like a weird vampire where like, maybe he still has his conscience, and they just decided to like feed him blood or something. Eat goats. Yeah.
Right.
There's plenty of like blood alternatives. Have you guys ever watched that?
There are a lot
vampire
of
show? Like
blood
Right.
alternatives.
blood alternatives.
Yeah, almost all mammals.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
You're
Really.
basically going and then go to the Midwest and go to a cow farm or something. It'll be fine.
So I pulled up some of the covers and art and whatever from Eben and Stella on here, but they do portray him as more mousy in the book. and
Oh,
stuff
weird.
there too. But if I remember right, they are both turned in. I think.
Oh.
So
It turned.
yeah, but
Wait,
I do
both-
own these. I need to go back to and look at it. So
When you say both, do you mean
her
what?
and him, Eben and Stella,
him and his wife
Yeah.
on the rocks?
Yeah, I think that they both get turned and stuff, but I don't fully remember.
Mhm.
But
Okay.
I'll have to dredge up the comics and see. But yeah, I bought them way back in the day.
Yeah.
So yeah, but
Interesting.
I was trying to look and see if anybody in the chat had seen it.
He says he has the first one,
okay.
but never read it.
Okay.
Useful.
I got games like that.
Yeah, for real. You got a lot of things like that in general. Yeah. But yeah, this it is for me personally, I still think that this is kind of one of those unsung like stepping stones for like a genre and for just like the horror genre in general.
Mhm.
As far as the cinematography type, as far as the movements and stuff of the vampires, like I feel like a lot of the zombie things that came afterwards took a lot of lessons from this. And I could totally see that being the case as far as like the movements and everything. Honestly, some stuff that stood out to me watching it this time as well that I thought was really cool. It's like some of the sound design in this movie is actually, which is like, it's not stuff we talk about tons, but
Sure.
it's like the sound design in this movie was awesome where there are moments when it is just like deadly silent.
Yeah.
And then stuff really escalates or like, and they just give you a lot of time for things to breathe. And one of the
Yeah.
things that Sid pointed out, we were watching it together, and she gives this right around the same rating that I did.
Sure.
Is that one of the big things about this too is that they're not afraid to hold back the creatures. Lots of
Yeah.
horror movies don't show.
Yeah.
And in this film, you see them in bright light. You see them in fully
Right.
lit rooms, fully exposed. They don't hide them. They don't hold them back ever. Only for the first little bit.
And it's partially because several of them look so freaky.
Yeah.
They have
Yeah.
like upward slanted eyes.
Yeah.
They have very like flattened like skin. They're
Mhm.
very like pale, opaque, almost
Asian.
like some would say.
Yeah.
Actually, Sid compared them to snakes as well.
Yeah.
And she said she had wondered if even like with the behavior and how they looked and stuff, if some of the inspiration was taken from snakes because of how snake-like they seem.
Mhm.
Sure.
But the leader wasn't quite like that, so I don't know.
No,
Yeah,
and
no.
not all of them were. And so when we saw people change in the movie, they didn't like become like that either necessarily. I mean, I don't know if it's a time thing. It could be that.
Right.
But then again, the leader is really old. I don't know. But then he's also the most like respected. So maybe it's because he held on to his humanity the most.
Right.
I don't know. I'm sure there's some explanation.
Well, yeah,
honestly.
and with vampire lore, we always know like the masters are always like more
Right.
evolved or whatever.
Right.
And so, and I just think about this because like I recently watched oh god, the one with Brad Pitt and oh man, y'all know the one.
Yeah.
It's like hoity-toity vampires.
Oh.
This is gonna drive me nuts. Your
Gina
wife
loves
is
this one.
yes,
Yeah, she'll
I
probably say it in the chat.
she probably
watched it
will.
It's
recently.
Anne Rice.
You did
It's,
too, the
Interview with
Interview.
the Vampire.
Yes, Interview with a Vampire. I watched that recently, and it's like it was fine. Like it didn't blow my socks off, but it's like I don't like the
Brad Pitt,
whole
though.
hoity-toity fancy vampire stuff. Like this is a cool way to show vampires.
Yeah.
Like for me, the big kind of three is this film, the Blade movies, and Underworld. Like those are the vampire things that I like.
It's a big difference
It is.
between all three of
It
these.
really is. It really
That's
is.
why it's his big three. He's like,
Right.
because I mean, I agree with
As
you. I
far as
love
styles,
those.
like-
I love those. Because I'm not here for the romanticized vampires. Like, let the right one in, and there's
That
like
one's okay.
there's these other like vampire stories that are slower paced and more like
Right.
romantic.
They always like humanize them and want to make them romantic or
Yeah.
sexy or whatever. And
Sure.
I'm just like,
Where you could relate.
right.
Relatable vampire.
Right. And even if you think about like the new Nosferatu film, at least there he is more animalistic and stuff. That movie is very art housey, but and just a totally different thing.
Yeah.
But at least it is a more like raw, unbridled, gross vampire.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
like them like that. I
Yeah.
think they work. Or at least if they have a distinct contrast where it's like I don't like the Anne Rice ones because they are never really animalistic. They're never really like they're just more polished. I
Yeah.
like it at least if they have two clear sides to them.
It really comes down to don't make me want to fuck the vampire. Like, make the vampire unfuckable,
Yeah.
and then I'm fuck with it in a weird way.
The whole thing of
Yeah.
vampires is that it's supposed to be about sexuality. Like that's the allegory for
Yeah.
vampires
Right.
across the lores, is that it's all allegories for sex, which is interesting when you look at this one because it's so animalistic.
Right.
And like
They removed
Yeah.
that entirely.
There's no sex involved here.
Actually, a good one that rides the line between both is From Dusk Till Dawn,
Ooh,
which
yeah.
Cicely brought up in the chat. And that is a cool one because that's how I like it too, where it's like, if you're going to do it, give us where they have that animalistic gross side, but then they can be like sexy and alluring and whatever.
Mhm.
But it's like, that's just to draw you in. And I even think about like the ones in Van Helsing, even.
Yeah.
Like, you know, where they fully transform.
Right.
But there are just so many vampires have been done so much.
Yeah.
That's why I think that this one was kind of revolutionary. It's just that when you come to it this late, like you did, Chris, it is a little hard.
Well, it's because I can't think of another vampire movie where they are this gory. Like there's been a couple books I've read where like young vampires are like this gory because they have to like come to maturity levels where they're thirsty all the time. And so they like are murdering like just left and right.
Yeah.
But to be like all of them, like they're just tearing heads off and stuff, and like they're wasting blood. Like their teeth aren't just two fangs; they're a series of like sharpened fang teeth.
Yeah,
where they're really just like gnawing on the people.
Mm-hmm.
And just wasting
and the
blood.
little girl, that was a
a
good a highlight of this movie was
throw that in there.
The little girl that turned into a vampire. They got bored of chewing through her caretaker guardian's
I don't
throat.
think nobody recognized the little girl in the town, so I think she was must have been on the boat or something.
They specifically said that nobody knew who she was.
Yeah, so she had to have come later, or we just didn't see her come in.
Because
with the
talk about would have been traumatizing if they would have been like, that was Billy's little girl.
That's what's surprising is like how like how much specification for the town whenever the sun did set, which also scientific little quandary that I have with it because it's not just like a night and day cut off kind of thing. Like there are places obviously that have this situation of continuous night, but it's not a.
It's not like there's a sunrise and a sunset.
It's not like it's instantly dark. It's literally like there's 30 days of just constant sunrise.
Mm-hmm.
So it's at that level of there's light, but it's not constant dark.
Right.
So it's not pitch black. It's not midnight every day.
Right.
It's the sun just might have.
It's edging. The sun is edging on you.
Oh God, we're gonna make people have to research what edging is again after last episode. So
get on it, people.
Right. Well, I have no regrets. But so that's where it's kind of like that portion of it, a reality of is whatever. It doesn't matter to me because it's a horror movie and you can do whatever with that.
Right.
So speaking of like reality things, the one thing that bothers me, and this is a story setup issue.
Okay.
Is Ben Foster is able to collect all the sat phones in the town.
Everybody.
So a stranger comes into a small town,
and
is able to find the majority of the satellite phones. That doesn't sit well with me, and that's almost like half the reason this is not a most excellent for me.
That's a wild thing to get hung up on.
Which is like the literal like beginning, like the first 10 minutes where they're like, why are people burning this?
Right.
I mean, it's just one of those things where it's like, it's so implausible. Like, don't get me wrong, vampires are implausible. A lot of this is implausible, but that right there, I have this weird thing in movies where if I'm in a world, I can accept so much.
Sure.
But a random stranger going house to house and collecting all the phones unnoticed, on top of killing all the dogs, on top of doing all these other things, and nobody noticed. This town of like 300 people, you're telling me that a stranger there was unnoticed going house to house collecting phones and stuff? That for me is just, I don't know. It's if they had left that out, if they left that out and just never even brought up
I think
phones,
the problem is if you leave it out, then people ask
What about cell phones?
What about the phones?
But then they destroy the cell tower and all that. I wonder how many people would have been like, oh,
well, but if
that
they're
phone.
satellite phones, I think a lot of people would have, especially at the time. And
Yeah.
so I think that they were trying. That's the problem. Is
Yeah.
you're in a catch-22.
Yeah,
You either
yeah.
like because now they could have done something where like the way that I kind of suspend that disbelief is that with Ben Foster's character, obviously he's been doing this for them for a while. Obviously they have their ways of doing things, and they've got to canvas an area and do this every time they go somewhere, even if it's not there, right?
Yeah.
So they clearly have tactics. The town isn't that big. There's probably only a handful of, or at least a certain amount of satellite phones.
Sure.
If I were to make a guess, the thing to do would be to find someone to interrogate and then kill, to basically find out, okay, look, there's only 20 of these in town or whatever.
Right.
Who's got them? Where are they at? You whack them and you steal them.
And if Josh Hartnett got called to a house where there was a dead body, and he was just like, what the fuck?
Right.
Like, why is this person dead? Like, this doesn't make any sense. Even if it was just like they hung themselves or whatever. Like, I would have been like, okay.
Yeah.
That
Right.
salves
Just a little
my
more.
qualm. But the problem was that we don't get that. This is literally one of the
Right.
opening things is like, oh, look, here's a pile of burnt cell phones.
Right.
Sat phones.
Right.
So I was just, it's like one of my few qualms, but it's something that just rides in my brain the whole time I'm watching the movie.
How did they get those
Yeah.
phones? I need to know.
Right.
Someone
Which-
needed to explain it.
It makes the whole subtitle thing important, because like whenever they the vampires go to him in the jail cell, whenever he's
Right.
all
Yeah.
planked up, they're like, you did everything we asked you to do. So that kind of ties everything together. So without subtitles, I fucking had no idea that
That's
they
fair.
asked him to do that.
Right.
So, but
right.
it's still, why would you trust this person kind of a
Right.
situation?
Well, I mean, because he looks like a freaking crackhead.
yeah, well,
but-
he is.
But yeah, so I totally understand though. But it sounds like by and large, most people still like this pretty well. This is definitely one of those cult classics that people like. I think the critics definitely got it wrong. And I mean, they didn't totally blast it, but it sounds like it was a 50-50 thing, you know?
I'm pretty sure when we were looking it up, because we had to buy, I swear I had a digital version of this. I swear I have a DVD somewhere, but we couldn't find it in our like.
Well, y'all did that crazy thing where you got rid of all your DVD boxes.
Well,
like
we got rid of our box, but we put them all in one binder.
Right.
So it's like if it's not in our binder of movies,
then you probably don't
then
have
it's probably not there, and we haven't
It
watched it.
doesn't
in a while.
exist. Yeah.
Right, and so we don't know what happened to it, but so we had to buy it, and I saw that Rotten Tomatoes give it 50%.
It's got a 50, yeah. So
Oh, well, I'm not that much higher than Rotten Tomatoes. Like, I'll give it a 62.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They claim, at least as the critics' consensus, that it was an erratic execution, which I don't agree with at all. But I mean, I thought that the execution was actually pretty well done. And I mean, this is also by 155 critics. Like, so
Right.
it's so amount, and Rotten Tomatoes has been around for about 1,000,000 years. But it looks like a lot of the top critics also gave it a high score. So some of the older movies like this are kind of a wild card when it comes to this app, and we all know that their scale is broke as shit. So, anyways, but
It
that's
just wasn't that original. Like, it didn't do anything new.
it did.
And again,
it did, though.
I'm
It did
watching
a
this
bunch of new-
fucking 20 years later.
Right.
But
so
that doesn't even matter. Name another movie where vampires invade a town that's completely cut off in the dead of winter or any season,
Right.
like,
yeah.
and they're animalistic. Like, I can't think of another vampire movie
Right.
where that has happened.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, sure. It's okay.
But I'm just saying you can't say that
uniqueness
then.
does not entail like it being good.
That's not what you said, though. I'm asking. I'm
Like,
asking
just because it hasn't never been done before. I understand. I'm contradicting myself by saying that, like, that it's never, just because it's never been done before. But it wasn't entertaining. I'm just gonna say, for me personally, it wasn't that entertaining. It didn't captivate me in the way that it wasn't so unique that I was just like, oh my God, I've never thought about like vampires being in the Arctic Circle and coming
Right.
down to
Yeah.
I mean, it would be, honestly, when it comes to vampires and that in general, with that type of a discussion, you're either on board for vampires or you're not. Like,
Right.
you're only going to do but so much new with vampires.
sure.
So, I mean, it's
Yeah.
kind of,
Yeah.
To me, it wasn't that unique. Like, even if I hadn't heard of it before, it's just like, okay, yeah, there are these towns up in the Arctic Circle that don't get sunlight for a certain amount of time or get a limited amount. I don't know. Maybe I'm just a hater. It just
You're a hater.
I
Haven't
am. That's fine.
No,
but
no,
it just didn't. It didn't stroke me
Sure.
in that way. Of,
Which is
That-
fine.
If
which
there's
is
anything
yeah.
about about Chris, it's that if he's gonna like something, it has to stroke.
it has
you
to
know,
stroke
if
me
he's gonna like it.
just.
Videodrome will come out and help you with
Yeah.
Yeah. No, hey, like Jake said in the chat, it's like, hey, your opinion, that's totally
Yeah.
fine. It's totally cool. And I mean,
Yeah.
everything's not
I'm not
for
saying
everybody.
it's bad.
Right,
I'm just
right.
saying it
It
didn't
didn't blow
like
your
blow
socks
my
off.
dick off.
Yeah, of course, it didn't
I just
stroke you.
think it's interesting that you saying it's not unique
Right.
when I literally can't name
Yeah.
another movie
Right.
like it.
Okay. So just because another movie hasn't done it doesn't mean that it's unique.
Bro.
Yes, it does.
No, it doesn't. Because you can think of it. Okay, like
If you think it's not unique.
exactly.
Argument. You can have your opinion with
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Fine. I just
Yeah.
think your argument to support it
Okay.
wrong.
Well, and I think that this is the hard part too. When you're coming to older films like
I'm
this,
coming to older films
always.
all the time.
When you-
Constantly.
when it's what is it? Your gooners never stay dry.
Yeah, Gooners never stay dry. Is that what? Yeah. it's-
Yeah, we're writing that one down.
Yeah. But with old films like this, it is really hard because it is the further and
So
further the further and further you get away from them, the less and less original they are going to seem and be. There's always going to be someone that's pulled from it or done it, or it's kind of like one of those things where I've realized with even like my kids is it's like there's some movies, whether it be like a R-rated movie that's like just kind of safe for them to watch, or like a horror thing or whatever, where it's like I need to show them now while they're young,
Sure.
because they're gonna see new shit and they're not gonna like this at all.
That's the problem with like the Matrix.
Yeah, I was literally
for
thinking of the
example, yeah.
Matrix.
So the Matrix, like
I'm telling you, coming to it for the
really
younger people, yeah, it's hard. It like
Yeah.
because it's too much like reality.
right.
I've just heard that it's been ruined for too many. They'll be like, oh, I've seen slow-mo and other things. And for us, I remember
was
like
fucking
I was like
groundbreaking.
holding onto a small tube TV, watching it illegally, being like, this is the most groundbreaking thing I've seen in my life.
Yeah.
And
Right.
it's just not like that anymore. Like they'll be like, oh, this is fine, I guess.
Yeah.
I've seen slow motion stuff before. But yeah,
I love
And that
they're-
could be the case for me. Like
I love that they're discussing in the chat that you've cracked.
I've cracked.
Yeah, you're just you've lost it, and they're now just goading you
Just
in
now?
spiral.
This is the moment? Not any time other than this.
Right.
Yeah. That's fine.
No, but yeah,
I have cracked.
yeah, no, I totally get it. It makes sense. But I think what we need to do is we need to wrap up this review.
All right,
and
all
we
right,
need to
all
do
right,
our
all
send-off
right.
songs. Now, for everybody that is new to the show and how we do things, we do a send-off song here at the end, each of us, where we send you off with a song, something to listen to, maybe some new music to find and get into. And it's usually just things that we've been listening to lately. So, guys, who wants to go first?
I'll go
Yeah,
first.
yeah.
Even though I totally forgot about this until we were doing it, and I was like, pulled up my Spotify, and the first thing popped. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot. I've been
Right.
listening to a lot of bluegrass.
Oh, nice.
So really, yeah, give it a little spit take over there. I know most of the stuff I
Man,
recommend
bluegrass.
is metal.
Right.
However, I do have a bluegrass nature sometimes.
All right.
Anyways, this band is a relatively small bluegrass band called the Jack Wharf Band.
Okay.
And the song is Washed.
Nice.
And that's Jack Wharf with 2 F's at the end, band.
Jack
And,
Wharf Band and
Yeah,
Wash.
it's just a great bluegrass song. It's got all your classic bluegrassiness, the violin in the background. It's
Mhm.
just
That would be a
banjo.
fiddle, Matt. That's a fiddle.
Fine.
It's not a
Mm.
violin when it's
Those
bluegrass.
strings?
Fiddle.
Yeah.
Diddling the fiddling. All right. Well, I'll go ahead. I'm going to do an old one. It's a song that actually popped up on something we talked about earlier, which was the morning show, which I've been watching on Apple. And a song came on, and I was like, "Holy shit! I've not heard this song in a gajillion years." And the soundtrack on that morning show, the morning show, is really kind of wild and interesting because it's just kind of all over the place with the songs. Like they're playing songs from like the early 2000s and new things and whatever. So anyways, there was a band called Elbow. I don't even know if they still exist, but the song is called Grounds for Divorce. And you probably know the song, Chris.
I just know Elbow.
Yeah.
But
I don't know if they're still around, but Grounds for Divorce by Elbow. It's a great song. It was on one of the episodes of Morning Show. And I thought about it and was like, this is going back on my playlist because I forgot this existed.
I don't know if I've ever heard that. We'll listen to after this.
Yeah, they're interesting. I don't know. I don't even know what genre. They're just they're an indie band.
Oh, okay.
So, anyways, but
Nice.
yeah. And Chris, what you got?
I have a song by Picture Plane.
Okay.
All one word. And it's Heaven is a State of Mind.
Okay.
Okay.
And it's very just fucking 80s.
Ooh.
Great.
Ooh. What was the band name?
Kill it. Heaven is that was
the
sorry.
song.
The band is Picture Plane.
Picture Plane. Heaven is a State of Mind.
Yeah.
Nice. I'll have to hear that too, because obviously, as you know, anything that's 80s reminiscent is up my alley.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
it's good stuff.
I'm totally on board for that. So nice. So that is 3 new songs for all you guys. We'll add them to our Criticless Cast playlist, which is on our channel. You can find it in there somewhere where Matt adds the songs after the show.
Yeah, it's just
so
magic.
Yeah, we will do that, and I think that's going to be it, and we are going to be signing off.
Yeah.
But as far as for next week, we're tossing it around. It sounds like right now the plan is for us to review Ballerina.
Yeah, maybe later. A later show. But
Anadarmus.
Yeah, Anadarmus.
She's so hot.
She is so hot.
Right. So seeing her in the cast would be probably really cool.
Yeah,
I'm not a big John Wick fan.
Well,
so we'll see.
That's where you ride a really tight line because she's like 100 pounds soaking wet.
Yeah,
and
that's where gun fu would work really well for her.
It would, and this is supposed to be by the John Wick team. Normally they handle this stuff better.
Right.
So we will see. I'm curious. I'm really worried it's not going to be good, but I hope it's great.
It's going to be trash.
My mind is blown. Yeah.
No, it's going to be bad.
Yeah, I'm a little worried. But I did want to see this week, the Philippou brothers had a new movie coming out, but we couldn't catch it. It was just the showing was late. The guys who did
Let Her Out.
Yeah, Let Her Out is the name of the film. It came out this week, so I'm curious if anybody sees that. Definitely let us know your thoughts. It's a new horror movie. Their last movie, Talk to Me, was great, so I am curious about this.
Yeah, sounds like a horror movie.
Yeah,
Let Her Out.
It is a horror movie, so it's not a Chris movie.
Nope.
So
not for me.
Yep. But anyways, that's going to be it for this week, guys. We will be back next week. Everybody take it easy. This has been fun. Thanks to everybody in the chat. We love you guys. Y'all are the best. And we're out. Later, y'all.